Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lightbringers podcast, episode 24, it's season 2. We have a release of a thing this past week. It's called season 1, episode 4. No, we're not doing the balance patch before anyone asks, because that would have been smart. But instead, we're going to be doing this, and we have some amazing guests. We're also going to be doing some in-game things, which I told them about approximately 10 minutes ago. Probably, maybe 15. But we have some amazing guests. They are here. Oh, dearie me. Aren't I great? Aren't I amazing? How are we doing today,
great.
peeps?
You are great, Jebro.
Wait,
you are great.
Before you say that, let me make sure I've unmuted you. Okay, yes, you're unmuted.
You're terrible, Jebro.
I can't believe that you would have us here so ill prepared. I've never been to any single
patch.
I know. Yeah, we're gonna do the balance patch whilst we're doing the tower.
Okay, I'll have it
as well.
I mean, why not? True Gauntlet. Let's go.
We're
True
gamers. We can do anything.
This is so true.
Multitasking is my middle name.
How is everyone doing today? Are we all good? Chat, are we good as well? I'm not ignoring you. I'm not choosing to ignore you all. It's okay. It's fine.
I am okay, but I may deteriorate as the podcast goes on because I had my vaccine booster today, and I am. We'll see what happens.
Okay. I see.
Oh.
Good reminder. I need to go get mine because the new one's out, right?
New one's out. Yeah, I haven't had one in a very long time.
It's the new release. So we've had the release of the new virus variant thing, and an episode. Look, so much releasing.
A lot of release happening.
Oh god.
I'm just enjoying some water right now. That's me.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I'm good. I'm great. I'm fantastic, Jebro.
Awesome.
Today, I don't know what it was. I was saying earlier, it just feels like today is a shiny day. It's sunny outside in Chicago, but it's not like too hot. It just feels good. So I'm excited to be here with all of you.
Cool.
Yeah.
New balance patch vaccine. I love it. Yes.
I share my deep emotions with Jebro, and Jebro laughs.
I'm
And it's like
sorry.
I didn't listen
Just
to any of
brushes it
that.
off.
I don't know. My brain.
Turns their head
My
around.
brain is this
okay,
weak.
anyways.
Now I'm here. I was checking it. I was doing the tech stuff, and I was looking. I was trying to move things, and my brain. I was like semi here. I was doing the thing where it sounds like you're here, and it sounds like you're doing things, but in reality, that's not the
You're not
truth.
listening at all.
No.
I understand.
No.
Just ask how you are and shut down because
just-
it really doesn't matter.
I was just like, yeah.
Too real,
I do.
Glenn. Too real.
I'm a little bit overwhelmed. I watched yesterday. I went to the Van Gogh experience in Seattle, and it was very good because I like art, and I just learned a lot of stuff about Van Gogh. I was just like, okay, yeah, that's why I'm still like, in a place. But you have
Just
all these
art.
projects. It's beautiful. It's seriously, if you can go to it, it's so good. It's got it's basically like this immersive experience when it's projectors all around the room, and you sit in a deck chair. It's literally like a deck chair, and it's just all his paintings, animations, and it's just beautiful. It's not for like half an hour or so. It's really, really good, and it did mind fuck me a bit, but already swan today. Good job. But yeah, it was good. Go to it. Let's go. Fornax, how are you doing? Introduce yourself. What are you doing? What are you up to? How are you? Good to see you.
Hi. It's nice to be here in America land virtually. Yes, I'm good. Thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome.
That's all I'm doing this week.
That's your intro. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. Bye.
Perfect. We get all of Fornax to ourselves this week. Perfect.
Is the sound a little distorted? I don't think so. Anyone in the stream wants to... I did switch my audio around, but if you want to let us know, peeps, sound is fine with me. Okay, cool. Glenn, welcome back. Do you want to introduce
Hi.
yourself? Tell us what you do, where you do it, if you want. I think Fornax didn't, so... It's up to you. If you do,
But
you can.
question: Can y'all hear the music that's outside? Because someone just is at a red light and they're blasting their music so loud right now.
No.
Okay, they left.
But
We're good now.
Just use it as a part of your intro. Just jam out to it while you go hey, I'm glad I'm always a party.
So, Hi, everyone. My name is Glenn Angel. That's Glenn Angel, but make it Spanish. I am Dominican. I'm non-binary. My pronouns are they, he, she. It is actually, what day is it? Today's the 16th. Yesterday was the first day of Hispanic Heritage Month or Latin American Heritage Month. So my power is doubled. I am a content creator.
Amazing.
I do a lot of MMOs, mostly Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14 on Twitch. But I'm taking a little bit of a break because mental health reasons. And also, if you like sketch comedy, I like to do that stuff on YouTube with the same username, Glenn Angel. Or on Twitter, you can find me memeing at Hello Glenn Angel, as well as on TikTok.
That
And
was the most
also-
professional. Continue. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Boots, for interrupting me. Actually, it reminded me something.
Boots
If
never
you're
does that, by the way. I'm just saying.
If you're interested in playing Guild Wars 2 on controller, I just made my first guide on YouTube. Whether you have the Steam version or not, you can also play it on controller. It is a lot. It's much easier if you have an Xbox 360 controller because you can just take mine. But I teach you how to do it from scratch, so also you can make your own setup if you want to. If you don't like what I have going on.
I'm sure everyone likes what you've got going on, Glenn. It's okay. It's okay. We've actually got a command for that in the chat somewhere. I can't remember the command. Reader knows, so that will come up in the very near future.
Actually, can I amend my introduction? I'm making a video playing Guild Wars 2 on the Steam Deck.
Ooh.
Yeah, it works. It's weird, but it works. So I'm doing that this week. So yeah.
Cool.
All right.
That's
Okay.
exciting.
Do you have a Steam Deck?
Thank you for reminding me. Yeah.
No,
Oh, Jesus.
no, they don't. they just
Fornex
like
actually stole it just now.
Just in my imagination.
Yeah, Fornex got like a cardboard box and wrote Steam Deck on it, like cut out a little screen on it.
It's just a Game
Yeah.
Boy Color.
It's all virtual.
It's a Game Gear. Oh my god, Game Gears were so good. Anyway, did you have a Game Gear for next? No. Was it called a Game
Yeah.
Gear over here? Actually, Sega
What the
Game
hell are you
Gear.
talking about? No.
Oh my
Oh,
god, the
the-
handheld thing. It wasn't called a Game Gear here. What's it called?
It was called a Game
Or
Gear.
am I showing my age right now?
I'm
Oh,
too
Game
young to
Gear,
know what that
there
was.
Oh,
Sega
wow.
Game Gear.
Yeah, Glenn and I
existed
weren't
Sega
alive
Game
then. So...
What do you mean you weren't alive?
Actually,
then?
I'm curious because
like 10 years
I don't know.
older
I
than you.
actually am not. I think you're younger than me, Glenn.
I am younger than you.
I'm old.
We're all old in spirit.
Okay, actually, but to be honest, it came out in Japan before I was born. So.
Oh crap! Okay.
Ew.
Anyway, let's move on. Boots, what do you do when you do it? Oh my god! that's so sad.
I make things YouTube and on Twitch sometimes. I put out a build video the other day
Nice.
for Firebrand World versus World roaming build.
Yeah, I
I
saw
really
that.
enjoy using it.
It's good. I've tried it. Yes.
And I'm redoing the not touching anything in game and get to level 80
Okay.
challenge.
Oh, yeah, I was wondering where we're going there.
And I'm in the middle of doing that. Actually, I'm just recording it off stream and yeah, just to see if it works without a booster. And it's it's going. It's fun. I'll put a video.
Can you define? You're not touching yourself while you're playing, or you're not touching anything in game while you're
Well,
playing?
I did say.
Oh, the
I did say
Darkbringers
not
is
touch
truly
anything
here.
in game. I don't know why I have to define.
It's because Fornex is
as
here.
if it's
That's the only reason.
myself in game.
I have hobbies. What can I say? Okay, carry on.
Wow.
I want to. I want to
What?
apologize to all the podcast listeners for my snort. That was uncontrollable.
Oh, that's
and
the only thing that we're apologizing for.
That's the only thing, yes. That's the only thing I can apologize for, me personally, that I can take into account. Whatever else happened, that's not in my control,
thing
nor
is-
can I apologize for y'all.
Yes, that's true. That's fair. You can only
We
say.
never-
All
already
day in
said it.
hell when I apologize, guys.
Well,
Sorry.
you don't get to
Yeah.
do this on your YouTube channel, I'm sure, Fornex, because I don't remember you ever being like this. 'Cause
I'd
all your
love
stuff
to
is
see. I'd
scripted.
love a Fornex video
Hey.
about ERP and Guild Wars 2.
Yes.
Jen, I would love that.
I have seen
I
a
would
little
love that.
bit on my
Genuinely.
travels. So like going around, not touching anything in game, just exploring. I've seen some weird stuff going down in
Exploring
in,
yourself and
in
exploring.
Sage chat and just in the world in
Good
general.
lord, Rook.
We're no longer on a family adjacent stream. Rook can say whatever she wants.
I have a very innocent palate, okay?
Sure, Jebro. Yeah, okay.
No one believes that.
Definitely.
When you had to come into the stream, you did have to click OK for mature. So I'm just saying, you did agree to this, everyone.
I will say, going back to Boots' video, I love in the beginning, Boots just keeps saying it's a build video. It's a build video. It is a build video.
It's because he's
just
playing,
let you know.
He's playing at the same time. So it's like you can tell when Boots is playing and doing a video at the same time because he repeats himself. But it was a good video. I did watch it. Rookery. That's what you do when you do it. This intro is very long today.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Rook, and very soon I'm going to be transitioning, I think, fully into ERP specific content. So,
right. Okay. Cool. That's
yeah,
good.
so I think I'm going to actually beat Fornax to the punch on that. And okay, I should also say though I tease, I actually think do whatever you want, have fun, role play however you want to role play, enjoy yourself in game as long as you are consenting adults. I want to be clear about that because it does get a lot of a bad rap in the community. And I myself am a big fan of role playing in all its many beautiful forms. But you can find me.
Wait, hold on a second.
No, Bruce, this is not a point to ask questions.
Explore. I say the word explore, it gets turned into exploring yourself. I say the word don't touch anything in the games, and it turns into touching yourself or touching things in game.
I didn't say
What's the problem?
Then she says, I enjoy roleplay in every form, and nobody says anything.
Because Rook had already talked about ERP, which is like which just takes. You've got to do it that way. See, if you get the filth out early, then it becomes less filthy and it goes downhill.
I led boldly so that nobody would dare impinge upon my honor afterwards. You know what I mean?
My honor.
My honor. You know?
No one has
we all
honor here.
clearly know that out of everybody here, I'm the most innocent of all of us, and my channel's family adjacent. So, as we all know,
I mean that bit's kind of true, but also that's the end of the podcast because Rook's lying. So we just
all right, everybody. For real though.
Is that what happens when Rook lies? Just we end here.
What happens when anyone
we can't
lies.
return?
Yeah, basically.
All right, so hey everybody, what's up? Jokes aside, I'm Rook. You can find me at Rookery. I won't take much longer. I'll just go through the actual links because I think I'm taking my spot for the intro today with jokes and funny times and spicy content. So you can find me on Rookery over here on Twitch, ROOKURI. You can find me on YouTube at the same, at Rookery. You can also find me on Twitter at Rookery_. When I'm not goofing around here and saying things I wouldn't say on my own channel, but just filthying out Jebro's channel instead.
Everyone does that.
I'm usually playing Final Fantasy XIV and Guild Wars 2. I love MMOs. I love talking about them. I'm on several podcasts, and I also do shoutcasting and other hosting for games or content, or we did a cooking competition recently with Kroof as well. So whatever I'm doing, wherever I'm doing it, always happy to see you and talk about the games that we love.
Amazing.
And ERP, probably.
And ERP.
Not really. Don't actually talk to me about that. That's
Speaking of which,
oh God,
I don't think it was ERP. It looked like just RP, but I've got a screenshot here I took as I was traveling across Tyria.
Oh my
I think
God.
this was in Ebonhawk. And in the chat,
we literally had this conversation.
Damon Tyron crosses their arms. Kane turned her gaze towards the now mostly open bar before turning her attention back to Damon. Just Kane. And I do write and read. I worked for the Priory for almost a decade. And I want to know more about... the problem was I was going too fast and I got out of the auditory. I couldn't hear it anymore because I was gone already. I was on the roller beetle and I wanted to stay and listen to it more, but that's all I got so far. Something interesting was going down there. Some sort of meet and greet. A meet cute, I'm thinking, at a bar.
I genuinely like to just creep on people's roleplay. I would never do it if somebody was uncomfortable with it, but if they're just doing it in public channels out in the open world, I am that person that will run by, stop, and then just linger within listening distance because it's fun. I like seeing how different people like embody their characters, what they're doing, how the scene plays out. It's enjoyable.
Also, I feel like you...
Someone is typing very loudly right now.
I either overheard you, Rook, doing RP once, or I think you might have copy pasted and pasted in the wrong chat, if that's possible,
In Guild Wars 2.
in Guild Wars 2. And I saw
Interesting.
Yeah,
play.
no, yeah, Boots, it's very possible because I'm a notorious misteller. So I miswhisper and put it in the public guild channels. all
Oh
the
dear.
time.
Yeah, I
A
think that's what
notorious
happened, yeah.
misteller. Okay.
Okay, can I ask a question? Where does that mistel come from? Because I remember in 14 specifically, I see that all the time, and I'm like, what does MT stand for? Because I thought it meant
Misteller is
maintain.
old school.
Well, because I
Wow,
know
probably.
when I started playing MMOs, like the term we would use was WC, wrong chat. But then someone like,
Yeah.
well, that's water closet. I'm like, well, that's true, but
Well, it's water closet for Americans. In England, it's like not many people probably know what you're talking. Well, they do now because of America. But
I
like,
think it's
Water closet?
Water
I
closet
think
is
that's
not an American
Canada.
term.
Not an American
No,
thing.
it's not
oh, is
America.
it? You
It's
say
European.
WC? Oh, is it? No, I don't say WC.
Mm.
Oh no, actually, maybe we do say WC. What do you say? You say bathroom. Sorry, that's what I mean.
Bathroom.
I say Canadians say washroom.
Mm-hmm. And some
Washroom.
people just call it the toilet.
I don't wash my things in there. Seems like a weird place to do it.
Wait, are you saying you
So
don't
many
wash your
questions.
hands after going to the bathroom?
You
What's going
don't
on?
Are we
Wash your
peeing now? Is that what we're doing? Sorry.
In the bathroom? Where do you
Welcome everybody to this Guild Wars 2 podcast.
But that's not like if you go to the
wash
bathroom. That's
yourself?
when you go to the bathroom. That's not the intention, is it? Like you go to the bathroom to go to the toilet.
Do you not wash your hands?
Oh, you
Do
wash
you
your
not wash
Do you
hands.
not wash your
I mean,
hands?
yes, you wash your hands.
Do you not
Then you're
take,
washing something in that room.
Yeah,
do
but
you not
yeah,
take
that's not.
showers or baths, Jebro?
No, but
Surprised you're not
like
asking
when
why
you
it's
go,
not called a
yeah, but if
bathroom,
it's
because
just a
in a-
toilet, there's no bath in there all the time, is there?
I would not go to a bathroom with just a toilet. Where am I going to wash my hands? Especially in
No,
these
No.
times.
But there are bathrooms where you have like just like.
There's always a sink. You're always capable
Yeah, but that's
of
not a
washing
bath,
something.
is it?
But then you're also calling
I
a
didn't say
bathroom with just a
bathroom, I said
toilet. So how
washroom.
are you bathing in the toilet?
No, but that's what I'm talking about. It doesn't make
But
sense.
yeah, so Jebro, but that's why I'm saying that washroom actually is a better word to use.
It
than
is a better
bathroom,
word.
because
That
there
is a
isn't
better word.
always a
That is
bath
true.
in
That is
the
true.
bathroom.
That's
there
true.
is
I thought
always
Americans
a
called it the restroom.
Yes, and
How
that.
much resting you're doing in there.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. I don't
Restroom-
understand.
It sounds formal because no one really says it.
It says
It's more
it
like
sounds full. What
It's
do you do?
what every restaurant calls the bathroom.
How did we get to here?
I'll give you one guess.
Boots. It's literally Boots' fault.
well, actually, it was my
And
fault this
also,
time.
well, everyone's fault. And also, if we had gone and done the balance patch, we wouldn't even be here. So I'm
know.
thankful
I'm
for
grateful.
that.
We're here.
Why don't we
Tell
just
me.
put on the stream and watch the balance pass and
No.
talk about that?
This is what Boots is angling for, and Jebro's not going to
Hold on.
allow it because Jeb already set this up to play the game today
I
before
will
realizing there was a patch.
derail this podcast
Wow.
in every instance.
We can. We could genuinely do that if you want. I just forgot it was on. Actually, no, I
That's
planned it, and then the balance patch was on, and I was like, oh crap.
But
Also,
I
the
do
balance
want to
patch-
just finish the topic. So restroom, I feel like colloquially Americans don't say that. It's for businesses because when you go to a restroom in public, there's no bath. So there's no
Yeah.
reason calling it a bathroom.
Yeah.
But we just call it bathroom because it's what we've been saying all our entire lives.
I would
And
agree with
also,
that.
it's definitely for businesses because, if you're in an office situation and you want to take a rest, you go to the bathroom, hang out there for a little while, go on your phone, etc.
Which is what I did when I worked at a call center.
Informally in the UK, people will say they're going to the loo
That's
true.
very informal, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
true.
because I have no idea why. But there you go.
One
Is that where the
syllable.
term- Is that where the term
It's easy.
looky-loo comes from?
Oh, I fucking hope not. No, I don't know.
I'm so
So,
confused right now.
Guild Wars 2 and the Nightmare Tower.
Do they have bathrooms in Guild Wars
The
too?
Tower of Nightmares. I don't know. We could do a
Actually-
whole podcast about that, maybe.
We should look into that.
Do they?
We should do a lore video on that.
A lore video.
I'm trying to
I've
think.
never seen one.
Where do our
I've seen them
commanders
in
go
World
for
of
that?
Warcraft. There's loads of jokes around them in the World of Warcraft. I don't think I've ever seen one in Guild Wars 2.
They're
I
their
don't think my character's ever had to go to the bathroom.
bathtubs. I feel like I've seen a bathtub in game before, but not like a toilet. Maybe not
Yeah.
though.
Maybe it's
I
like
don't
the ocean, you just go everywhere.
I know
what
what I'm doing
about-
this weekend now. That's great. Thanks, guys. That's
What about
Have fun
the
looking for
pot?
toilets.
yeah.
What about the pot that Fern was almost burned in? Would that be considered like a bath?
Yeah, it's like a hot tub.
It's like a hot tub, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, like a hot torture tub. Yeah. I mean, that's a whole ERP section all by itself.
There you go.
Yeah.
Look, we brought it full circle. Yeah, I love
Yeah.
And we, as commanders, have the extinguishers, just for safety reasons, in case someone has a safe word.
Yeah, for every
As a cis woman, I don't have a
So hard for
portable
me to get through.
dispense. I don't have that. So no.
For
sorry.
every ERP boiling alive party, there always needs to be designated safe word and a designated fire extinguisher. Usually an elementalist using the water aspect.
Hi, Jebro.
Jeb, what do you want to talk about today on this podcast?
For a while. This is actually the longest time I've spoken.
So how about that balance patch?
They're actually doing a lot. Okay. Yes. What was I gonna say? Season 1, episode 4. What's happening?
We gave you a lot of fun to bookmark this episode.
It's true. I mean, it's going to be difficult. I just do intro and that's it. That's just easier for me. It is just easier, honestly.
Well, you can write intro, but with a question mark.
Oh yeah, I do that a lot. Question mark is my favorite thing to use, actually. Okay, so season 1 so far. Let's talk about season 1 so far up to this point. There's been a lot of stuff going on. Okay, loads of stuff. There is also. I love how Boots has totally derailed loads of things and has a dinner to go to later. So I'm just noting that as a second aside thing.
Hey, I'm out no matter what. I can't do anything about it.
I know. We'll come with you. You can just go on your phone.
Right,
Be like, what are you getting? You going to the bathroom?
Oh my! I just had major deja vu right now. Continue.
Okay, good. Thank you. Jesus Christ, what's happening? Okay, so have we enjoyed season 1 so far up to now? Like the actual remake? I know Rookery and Glenn have
Is
not.
that the Kalaris?
It is the Kalaris. Oh yeah, it's
The
the one
that
who
I
don't.
met that one time?
Yes, it is.
Amazing. Nice to see you again.
This is the second time
Boots
you
once
met.
again derailing. He's
Yeah, thanks.
straight off the rails.
Sorry, I bring that up every once in a while because
You do.
it was very embarrassing for me,
It
but
was.
now bring it up again.
Yeah.
It
Have
was
we
embarrassing.
enjoyed season 1? The
Yeah.
question. There has been a distinct lack of toilets this season, but other than that, I have
Excellent.
actually found that I love this season. You all know how I feel about this season. It's been like it's all coming together, one beautiful moment. I actually think they've done a phenomenal job with each of these episodes. In balancing both the stuff that's in them, the narrative beats, the story. I felt like each one of them, I have been really satisfied and been like, I really thought that this added something to the story. I really think this was an important beat. And this last episode was really interesting because while the majority of it was gameplay focused, I felt like there was still so much story stuff and really interesting, kind of content in it. And the little instance at the end had its own kind of fun puzzle. And the tower itself, although there's been some interesting feedback about it when you're like doing it publicly, especially if it's your first run through and you never did it before. But we did it in a private squad and I had so much fun. It was a really cool kind of piece of content.
I love the public instance of it. I think it's something that so Guild Wars 2 doesn't have a lot of this actually, except for in
Okay, so the question was, are you just generally enjoying it up to now, not this episode yet?
Oh.
And you can say random general things. We will get there. But Boots,
I would
the
like to
reason why
say-
I'm saying this, Boots, is because I want to keep you in the moment.
Now
okay?
I have a good question.
What we're
Why
talking-
did you interrupt me when I was talking about it and didn't interrupt Rook when she was
Because
talking
Rook
about
was
it?
very, very general, whereas I know you're not going to be right now in this moment. Am I wrong?
I would have to actually advocate for Boots in that I was
No.
not so general towards the end. I thought you meant how have we enjoyed all of season 1 up to and including this episode.
Well, we can let's say up to this point then, so we don't go into this episode specifically. I'm not doing very well with defining my my outlines here, am I today?
I would like to answer the question.
I will delegate Glenn to answer it for
I
me
would
as
love
well.
you
Thank
to
you,
answer the
Boots.
question.
Thank you, Boots.
Is
So-
Boots okay with their answer they just had? Because I feel like Boots.
I don't think we're done with Boots' answer, but I just want to say
be
mine
done with
first.
Boots' answer. To be fair.
So, as a newer player, for those of you listening, I'm parting my hair. I actually played through the first 3 episodes again last night to get a different perspective, because the very first time that I played it, I was fresh level 80. I didn't understand gear. I think I had a mix of like yellow, blue, and it actually was very frustrating because I
Right.
think I also was playing Spectre, and I wasn't playing a DPS build. I was like, oh my god, I want to be support because Spectre, shields. And so the first, like, a lot of the instances actually took forever because they had so much health and I wasn't understanding what was going on. And then I'm like, oh, this is like an older contest, so it was meant to be group. Did they, balance it correctly? And I just had a very frustrating time. But going back yesterday, or like the last week really, and having like an actual, like, at least full exotics and like some ascended accessories, I'm like, and actually a DPS build, it was easier to go through, much more so, and I actually was able to enjoy it. And I really, really enjoyed like just like the dialogue, the story. Obviously, it's stronger now. It wasn't like it was there though, and I really enjoyed it.
Cool.
And I end my answer.
That was your answer? Okay, good.
That was my answer.
You just have a tendency to sometimes say the things you're gonna do. So I was like, I thought you were gonna say I'm ending now, and you did it.
As I did.
Like yes. So you kind of did. Okay. Anyone else?
As a person who played through season 1 when it launched and is playing through it now, the thing that I'm missing is kind of the connective tissue and the active stuff that was in the world that was happening, that was unfolding, the kind of breadcrumb stuff and the kind of passive stuff. But I think they're doing really well with the format, that they're delivering the key points of the story so that people can connect with the characters. I think they're doing an admirable job, and I think it's great.
Cool. Okay. I would agree with you absolutely there. I think that a lot of the invading from the clockwork nights during the festival, they were all over Tyria, weren't they? And during this event specifically, there were toxic invasions in different, I'm not sure if it was in different zones. Was toxic invasion in every?
I think it's in different zones as well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So there was very much this sense of they were invading areas rather than it was like, in different episodes. So there's this big build up to what is the next episode, which I'm not going to spoil too much, but we do mostly know probably what that was about. But like, it's just generally there's an invasion happening like everywhere. And that sense is lost, other than in kind of, I guess this episode we're invading a place, an instance, and so we're doing the invading.
Yeah, no, I see what you're saying, because they spread it over a longer period of time where it's actual invasions happening. But in this, you do it, but only in Keswick's Hills. You participate in stopping the invasion of that just in Keswick's Hills, and just as sort of busy work, just to like give you a kind of a grasp of what you did back in the day before going into the tower.
Because I mean, the toxic events with the flowers, they've stayed since season 1. So people think of those as,
weirdly enough.
Yeah, it is. So these are the only things that have kind of, there's like a remnant, it's like a ghost in the shell of, as it were, of the story. And so I would, if they were asking me, which they never do for very good reasons, I would tell them to make these early maps into event maps so that people can experience this story and just add it to the world boss trains, just people would, I would personally love to see that. And the maps that they're on are fairly sedate maps with not a huge amount going on, so you could really just spice things up and have a really like active free to play game going on, which might get more people to kind of stay in the game.
Okay. Yeah, that it is weird how they just kept that going. I'm not sure why they did that. Why they just left the events in. They've just always been there, and they didn't do that with other places with the other events.
I've been very confused whenever I travel through Keswick's Hill and I'm seeing this big poison thing. I'm like, what is this supposed to be? And I didn't understand what the events were telling me, and that I had to down the enemies. I'm like, wait, why do I have to down these enemies
Yeah.
Yes, that was
or
something.
finish
I mean,
them?
this whole season we've seen in several of the instances, not even just this last one, the idea of like finishing enemies. And in the regards to things like the Queen's Jubilee episode, I remember when I was playing through it, I was going, oh, that's so cool, because it's like they're not actually, you know, flesh and blood, right? They're watch knights, so of course they could reassemble and come back unless you like just absolutely crush them. But then people were telling me that it was almost even more of a design mentality from this era, where sort of like how as players we have our downed and like dead states, they almost considered that, it seems like, to be something for enemies as well, where they have a downed state but they can rally from that or come back from that, and then like a kill state, which is when you use that finisher. And we saw more of that here in this episode. But I mean, we're touching on the episode again because I think it's just all
We're
fresh
gonna
on our
just go in
minds
there
at this
now, yeah.
point.
It's okay.
But,
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, back then. So you know what I think what was happening there? This is just my presumption, but what I think what was happening there is they were kind of trying to teach people about stomping a little bit, but not really. But more importantly, they were at that time selling a bunch of finishers in the gem store, and I think maybe they wanted people who weren't just in PvP and World versus World to have a reason to buy finishers as well.
Was it the?
Okay.
It wasn't.
But what happened was
yeah.
the PvEers found it way too annoying to have to stomp out all these things that they just
You
stopped.
got rid of it.
They just stopped doing it.
The
Yeah.
funny
I
thing
actually
is,
love.
sorry.
I was gonna say, I love the cosmetics of finishers. I
Yeah.
love like whenever you get, you know, in even a single player game, the special cinematic, you killed an enemy, you know, like, and you get you chop off their head or you fly through the air or whatever. And Destiny 2 is one of the only other games I can think of right now that's out that has something equivalent to that, where you can get that kind of like unique customization, character finishers, which is a cool, I think, thing to have in the game. But yeah, it kind of has gravitated out after this point, even though you do still use them in certain situations or at certain times. But
Okay. Well, the funny thing is that Prime Gaming, you can get a gift finisher for free. So there is some intention there again. Then, like, you know, and there's the
There you
gift
go.
mail carrier thing I guess as well. Prime Gaming. go
Oh,
check that out.
did they update it from the T-shirt that they gave before?
Yeah, I've got the finisher. It's weird because Guild Wars 2 like does stuff which has already been out for like years, and the Prime Gaming thing, which is a little gripe I have because most games do new stuff. But yeah, it's just a thing. It's better than nothing. Anyway, sounding grateful, Jebro. Let's go into the episode. Okay, yeah, up to now, I agree. Yes, it's been fun. It's been good times. I do miss that whole overarching looming threat that is in the world. I do very much like the fact that you can go into the events were affecting the world, because I think they've only really done it during this season ever in the Guild Wars 2. So it's been an interesting thing. Other than Heart of Thorns a little bit, I guess. But we're kind of leading into that anyway. This episode specifically I was trying to remember and going back and like where we were, like what was the story that led us up to this moment, and then there was like the letter and we're going to check out this thing, and I was like, this is where Casimir and Marjorie like properly started bonding. Like this is like the first time like we see them kind of hanging out and like talking to each other and getting to know each other and all the things, and it was very cool. But in general, like this is why we're here to find out what this kind of anomaly is. The interesting thing was as well for me when you came into this arena or into this map, is that if you're starting this episode, so if you don't start this episode, the tower is broken. It is not there. But if you come into this episode and you've started it and then you come into the map, their tower is there, or the tower isn't. I can't remember if I actually pan around. But like the map is reset. So it's actually one of those very unique things in Guild Wars 2 that we've not seen much, where there's an instance in the map different because of the story step you're on.
it's awesome.
Is cool.
It's amazing. Yeah, I mean, we were talking earlier about connecting the dots, right? I have been through this map a million times, but it wasn't until after seeing this and then you finish up the episode, right, that I even realized that this thing that was in the middle of the lake were the remnants of Scarlet's tower. And the fact that, you know, all the trees and things that were along the edges of the lake here, I thought when I first was just kind of going through the game, I was like, oh, I guess humans have just been logging all of this and they've been, you know, building stuff. But my gosh, it seems kind of sparse, and you know, it's what a, you know, awful thing to do to just like log it so thoroughly. But as you know, it actually turns out, and as they kind of revealed in the build up to this episode release, from what I know, when the original like buildup was happening, trees just started vanishing around the lake. They were just being cut down, and nobody knew what was happening. There were like mysterious things that were happening around here before the tower even appeared. And they do kind of neatly like bundle it in where they mention the trees and they mention other stuff. And if you know, pick up some little notes and other things, you get, you know, like E talking about some of the stuff that's been happening around the lake and all these sorts of things. So while they couldn't do it exactly the same, obviously, I think they did an amazing job with these instanced versions of the map, and it really connected the dots for me on like why things were the way they were on this map.
Oh, that's good. The one thing they didn't do was that, you're right, like they've still got the remnants of the tower in the map while the tower is still up, because that wasn't there before. I'm pretty sure it wasn't. So it's kind of weird because it's like that. I think the wrecked tower is in the map still, and it's not. And the tower's up, so it's like over there on the left hand side, it's like this area where like it will never return to the game. It's just gone forever, and it was only there for like what, a year, I can't remember, or whatever, maybe less. But it's just interesting. Yeah, no, that's good actually, because yeah, I just think, yeah, if you go into this map, you're just like, what happened here? Like, there's no story, there's no mention of it whatsoever, but now there is, because you can do the story. Good stuff.
It kind of gets me excited to see what they can do in the future, because now that they like kind of showcase they can do like this like split instance in real time where players can see it, because I'm pretty sure like players who haven't finished the episode still see the tower while we don't anymore unless we like replay it. It's like, what can that bring into the next expansion?
I have to say that's my favorite part, is actually feeling like my actions as a player, as a character in the game, have influence on the world, and this kind of contextual layering of assets and maps and is amazing, and I love it, and I advocate for it 100%. Please give us more of this so that we actually feel like our actions have consequences.
Yeah, I agree. It makes the world feel more dynamic, more alive. I think Guild Wars 2 always does a good job with that, at least very much so in comparison to other games that I even play, where even the fact that we have things like the meta events and sometimes a before and after state of certain maps and all these different things. I mean, even on some of them, like the Dragonfall meta, where you build the camps up and then the camps appear and all these sorts of things, right? I think Guild Wars 2 has a really good sense overall of having maps that have their own identity, even outside of a time and place that you can kind of imagine in a certain way, but that still also feel like things are happening and you get to be a part of them. However, one of the things we haven't seen quite as much is stuff like this with story beats, yes, where there is something big and resounding that happens that leaves an imprint that's like tied directly to that major narrative. And I think that this, as a perspective for the future, is really exciting, like Glenn was saying, because I almost immediately jumped there myself, and I was like, oh wait, they could do stuff like this in the future, and we could have, you know, this iconic thing that we have this memory of, that after you get to that point in the story, you're like, oh, that's that thing that I did. It's right there. You can see it on the map. I really love that. I think it's cool.
Yeah.
I wonder if...
No, go ahead, Glenn.
I was gonna say, like, I wonder what if they can make it so like it's a new expansion, so new maps, and during the story there are like two different branches you can go through, and like it'll change the layout, but then converge back to like one single like map, so that way it's easier just to code and like have, but like in the path of you going through that part of the act of the story, you see a different like map than other players. which I think can be like a really cool thing to play around for at least the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay, now imagine you're a brand new player. You get to play all of season 1, and you get to be in the original Lion's Arch.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to bring
until
up.
it falls, and then you experience the whole thing. They could have it as an instance, you know?
Yeah, honestly, yeah. It couldn't have been done without Living World Season 1 coming back first. But now that it's back, it'll also still be very difficult to do because that would mean all new players are disconnected from all other players in Lion's Arch. But it would be good for them to have seen what Lion's Arch used to be before it got destroyed.
I mean, they do get to see it with some
story-wise.
story instances.
Yeah, but
It's not
they
the
have no
same.
connection to it, right? Really, because they didn't get to be in it ever.
I didn't understand. So when I was going through like the personal story, I'm like, oh, this Lion's Arch looks different. Anyways, because like it's such a small like section, and I just focused on the NPCs and the quest. I didn't until someone told me actually this was an old version of the map. I'm like, wait, what? Why is it new? And then they told me what happened. I'm like, oh.
Yeah. So as much as I want that to be how it works, where a new character, when you make it, experiences original Lion's Arch whenever they go to it, experiences original Keswick's Hills whenever they go to it before the tower was even there, before it was even under construction, let's say. Yeah. Experience the game how it used to be, and then when they do the story steps, it changes to the current version. But I don't see how that could, just population wise, I don't see how they could make that work, unfortunately.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I'm super curious to see what they're going to do with it. I feel like in some way, shape, or form, obviously, the finale of this season had to do with Lion's Arch being destroyed and razed to the ground. And even now, I mean, earlier today, I was wandering around the hub, outside of Fractals, and there was a little piece of dialogue about all the tragedy and everything that had happened, and, all the lives that had been lost, and how these NPCs were picking up their life again. But yeah, if you are a new player to this game and you didn't experience that, you don't actually probably even totally understand what in the world people are talking about as you go through this major city hub that you're going to spend a lot of time in. So and the memorial and everything. There's so many things in the
story
zone.
Spoilers before doing Living World Season 1 last final episode.
Yeah.
Having a different Lion's Arch than the one that's about to get destroyed.
So it feels to me like, of course, we're going to deal with the destruction in the narrative, but how they handle this, I don't know what they'll do. I think they could probably do something like a different instance. But yes, like you said, would that be good for population? Would players not actually really, it would be so hard. I mean, I think maybe one thing that they could do would be to have some kind of NPC or something there that would allow you to switch between those two states of the map at will, so that older players who really just liked hanging out there could just go back and have that be their hub, so that new players still saw people there. But you are splitting the population of the game in a major city hub, which, having seen stuff like that happen in WoW with the different timeline iterations, it does get to a point where it's so messy and so weird, and old versions are just completely dead and it's awkward. But if any game could more flexibly pull it off, I do think it's Guild Wars 2. It's just a matter of whether or not they feel like it's worth it, or if we're just going to have specific instances, like an instanced version kind of thing, where you play through and witness the destruction, and you just kind of accept and roll in the fact that, like, oh, okay, well, this happened at some point and changed the map forever. So
And
I think we could use. Oh, sorry.
No, Fornex, you go.
Oh, thank you, dear. What I was going to say is that we could use the scrying pool to allow people to go back and explore Old Lion's Arch, get all the old achievements to do with the map and the jumping puzzles, and explore the Undercity, and explore. I don't want to spoil too much. There's a Order of Whispers hub there, which is awesome, right? And you should. And I think it's detrimental, having experienced it myself, for new players not to experience it. So however they give it to us, please give us this ancient city that we can explore, because it's such a beautiful design. It's such a glorious place. And the significance of it, people will feel the loss if they will have if they had experienced the city. Sorry, there you go.
Oh, you're fine. You're fine. Yeah, it's something that players still talk about to this day. So, I mean, Obi makes a good point in the chat as well that players are already pretty split having pass areas like Mistlock or Airship, so that having, you know, a hub like this that was also split might not make such a massive difference, which is fair. And you could have access to it, something like a Mistlock pass for old players that you could earn through the season or have it as an achievement or something, so that you could go back and forth to it. So.
Or they could just destroy the current Lion's Arch and then just make it the way it was before. Sorted. All good. And like just delete it. Like one day, like they're just the ultimate patch. We're bringing back old Lion's Arch because you voted for it. And they just say no.
Going back to the other one, it's also hard because like with alts, how would that work then? Because the alts don't go through the story, and then you go to Lion's Arch, and then unless if they do the whole like when you go through the story, you get to the new one, you'll be stuck on the old one on your alts.
I think it's.
How about this?
Oh God.
If we appeal to greed, to corporate profit, I will give you real life money if you give me access to Lion's Arch. If you give it me as like a pass or a mislocked sentry or a mislocked Lion's Arch, I will give you real money.
If you
Hang
give
on, which
it
one is
me, I miss England.
Please.
Give it
Okay,
me,
that's it.
please. Sound like my little
Please.
nephew.
Green talks.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, all of this, like all the future stuff aside,
And the
I
past.
do think that this episode, so this release, right? I mean, it was amazing that they decided to do those different instance maps, and that in true Guild Wars 2 fashion, it is so seamless and smooth. You know, you're not having to like click on somebody and be like, take me to the one version before this version, or, you know, like I was playing yesterday with people that had already completed it. I, you know, have even seen people say that when they were on the map, their tower was knocked over, mine was still up. Like, it's really nice to see that kind of fluid responsiveness to those story beats and things. So stuff like Lion's Arch, I think, is feasible, possibly. It would just depend on, you know, I think a lot of the bigger picture stuff and how they would want to do that. But this episode alone had so much in it that I was really hyped about. I thought there was a lot of great content, some fun fights, some really fantastic additions. The little lore recordings that you can find of Scarlet, holy cow, like the writing in those and the voice acting. They got Tara Strong to do new lines that weren't even in the original one, and they were so good.
I was wondering
so
about that.
good.
Tara Strong is a legend.
Yeah, seriously.
They've had some really good voice actors. I think they've come up as well through the ranks, and like they're like old, because you remember like how old this is. I mean, this is like 9 years old, so it's like a lot of the voice actors are kind of grown and like gone into more like work and stuff. So it's just been, yeah, it's always cool to come back and realize that, damn, you know, actually had a lot of really big people involved in Guild Wars 2, still do. Okay, so there is a poll up on the chat as well for live peeps. So
Scarlet had very Harley Quinn mixed with Golem energy in this episode.
That's actually a good way to put it. Yeah, I would agree with that, honestly.
Yeah, the voice acting is great. Up until the instance though, they had a little instance where you go towards the tower. I remember I think this was just a repeat before, I think. And there's you, Marjorie, and Cass, and then you had to go and do events after that. But you were still wondering, like, what is this tower? What is this thing? Like, you're still not sure. You're like, oh well, Scarlet's probably about somewhere. I'm still don't think you're kind of there. There's me like taking screenshots. But there's all these little mini cinematics as well, having a look at the tower, and you've got, you know, them in their old outfits still as well. I was like, oh yeah, this is still really, and they're not changing their own new outfits and stuff. Marjorie seems I think is just cheeky from the offset, and I've forgotten how, you know, I'm trying to think of the word. She's sarcastic and awesome, and she's just great through this whole episode as well. And Casmir just is like this powerful mesmer, and like you just remember how much power they kind of actually really do have, because revealing this illusion that it's a flipping tower, it's massive, and like everything she does like throughout the entire like instance in the episode is It's pretty amazing. But like it was.
Yeah, I think
pretty cool.
Casimir's powerful, but I don't know if she's like Jenna powerful. I think in this case they actually explained it. The reason why she was able to dispel that is because she found like the one loose thread in
that was
the
chink in the
illusion
armor kind of thing. Yeah,
exactly, and pulled at that loose thread and just all came down like a Norn fart at a moot.
That's true.
Yes. I mean, that still does take a lot of precision and skill, though. And I really like that in contrast with her, because we see at this point in her life that Casimir is so unsure of herself. She, is very, unsure of her own skills and direction and power. She's been kind of set adrift because of everything that's happened with her family and everything else. And she, doesn't want to get in the way, but she also doesn't feel as though she's equipped to deal with a lot of these things, these cataclysmic events. And then you think about, down the road, her leading part of the charge in so many of our different metas, in even the culmination in Iceberg Saga, the confrontation that we have on the Drizzlewood Coast map. Like, she grows into herself and her own power over the course of this game. But seeing her at this raw starting point, a woman with so much power, yes, like she was able to pull one thread that unraveled it, but to actually be able to read all of that magical weave and find the one weakness and pull it apart and do all this stuff. And yet she's constantly undermining herself for the episode. I really love seeing that, and how Jory encourages her and tries to assure her of her worth, and mentions even just in her dialogue, like if Kaz leaves something out about that, like, oh, you all did this, Jory says something almost every time about like, we couldn't have done it without you doing the tower, we couldn't have done it without. And I think it's just these lovely subtle details that Guild Wars 2 is so exceptional at with its characters, and they really shown in this episode.
Even us, like there's a
oh no, go on.
Thank you. Even like
distorted, by the way.
We just Fornex and I were just the wavelengths. We want to say things at the same time.
Yeah.
No, like even us, like as a character, like there's a point. I mean, first of all, like Casimir was also just exhausted after like taking out the illusion. Like obviously there was a lot of power, because like she was like, oh, I have to take like a little bit of a break, so she's downplaying a lot of that. And even then she's complimenting Jory's alchemy and saying, oh, I wish I can like do something like that. And it's like, us as the player was like, but we couldn't even get into this tower if it wasn't for you. It's like, yeah, you're right. Well, anyways.
What I was going to say about I agree with that, by the way. It's amazing how powerful these characters are, and how we kind of take it for granted as the player character, how good they are. But I was to Casimir. She's a member of the Mesmer Collective, which is a kind of secretive organization. There's a lot of hereditary members. Jenna is a member, or reportedly to be a member, and it's the most powerful Mesmers in Tyria, in Kryta, at least specifically. So she shouldn't be underestimated, and the lore behind Mesmers is quite astonishing. And some of the magic that they've done has turned the tide in battles, and the kind of like the mythos of the game. So yeah, we could be seeing the ascendance in Casimir of an incredibly powerful character who could at some point like go dark side, which I think would be amazing.
Ooh.
I was literally thinking that as you were talking. I was like, I would love to see like the Marjorie and Cass go evil. I would love to see that. It would just
you
be
do
like
deep delves in this, actually, Fornex. I want to ask you, do you think Jenna could be Liz?
Wait, you are going on a tangent right now. You are going on a tangent. No.
Jenna and
it's a theory
what's her name?
Community. It's a theory.
Jenna and her bodyguard being Liz and the two versions of Lisa.
The twin goddess.
The twin goddess, yeah.
Oh.
Let's
not go there. Should we?
That,
like, I mean,
so take
you
my
never
money.
know. You never know. Let's go back to the episode. But yes, you're right. Like, I love it. This is like a Casimir Marjorie thing as well. Like the whole episode, the whole season, the whole game, honestly. But like, just the game. But
I also just love how in this season Marjorie is so like classic Dusk Noir. Like it's like one of my favorite things. They really just like went full with that. I was like, let's have fun.
She's good.
Her introduction was super Dustnar too. Yeah, it was great. I feel like they don't do enough of it these days, but now that we're getting the friendship detective agency, I feel like we're gonna get it back. We're gonna get
That's
that's
true.
not what she's calling it.
They did go full circle, didn't they? Yeah.
I
They
think
did.
we're gonna get it.
They abandoned that for a while, and then they came back to it. I actually forgot that she was there. Was like the whole detective agency because it's just been so long. Okay,
I think it would be perfect for us to go off on little detective agency stuff rather than this whole world-ending, you know, consequences all the time. It would be nice to
and
just
then we find a new world-ending event.
Oh,
God.
well, shit, probably. Yeah.
If the next episode of Living World doesn't start off with what's his name, Gorick, in an office sitting at the desk doing a monologue in black and white, and having like Marjorie walk into the office being like, "We need your help" or whatever, and then the dame walked in, blah blah blah. If he doesn't start off with that, I'll be very disappointed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, are we talking very specific ERP for you right now? Is that like a setup?
Yes, we
okay.
are.
Okay, I'm gonna pull.
I
I'm gonna pull us
approve,
back.
I
I'm
approve.
pulling us back officially. I'm pulling us back because I know
Oh,
we do have a
man.
time. You have a time limit today. What do you want me to do, people?
One
I've got to pull
tower.
it back.
How long is that going to take?
That's not what we're not just doing that though. Okay,
We're taking over the world.
events. So there was the instance we had, and then we go from the instance, and then we're actually doing events. So they're still doing the events that you have to build up the bar, you have to go around the map and do that bit. How do you feel about that? Like continuing to kind of repeat that each episode. Is that something you don't mind? You don't mind like kind of wandering around the map, seeing how it is now? Like
I always think of it as busy work, and I'm never really into it.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's useful to help people understand the situation that's going on, and sometimes it's helpful to, I mean, for Living World episodes, when they introduce a new map, they do it to get people to explore the map and learn about the map and stuff like that. So it's busy work, but it's useful busy work most of the time. This time I was like, I've done this before. Meh.
Okay.
Yeah, it thankfully didn't take too long. You know, I mean, I think that was one of the things I felt like it took me much longer, and I was more confused with the one with the Aether Blades, trying to find the captains, trying to figure out what events did or didn't count. There was one
Yeah,
event
that
that
was
was
weird.
bugged for a little bit. That took me much longer. This one, when I kind of realized, oh, I can go find these spores and we can just loop around and these like mini bosses will chain. I thought that was fine. You know, I think there is something to be said about trying to almost impart upon your players that there is a certain rhythm and pattern to how they quest, explore, story. You know, it's one thing that I think that they could, however, do in maybe some slightly different, more dynamic ways. You know, it's a lot of times it is just kind of like, go kill 5 of these things, fill up a bar, which due to the nature of living season 1 makes sense because obviously a lot of that was just content they were trying to push out every 2 weeks. So yeah, dynamic events pop up on maps. Okay, great. You do that, you kill those things, right? Probably pretty formulaic to, you know, put out in certain regards. But for, you know, other things in the future, I'd love to see if, you know, we had an interlude moment, now let us lead you by the hand to explore a map zone, be something more like a traditional side quest, or be something more like, you know, go to these 3 locations and discover whatever lore, whatever thing that's there, or engage with these things in slightly different ways, because a lot of times it's just sort of like a general participate in whatever and come back when you're done, which is fine, but I think that they could lead players through some of the really unique or interesting experiences in those maps in a slightly more directed way that might shake it up a little bit. But I'm glad that it's there because it is something that's different. I think players that don't explore those maps and just blast straight through story will find that they feel like there are big holes and big like parts where they were like, I really thought this would be longer portion or something else would happen here, but they don't even realize that the maps are a part of the story that you're supposed to be exploring to get the full experience and all the content that encompasses that.
Cool. Any other opinions about that? That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
I feel like whatever I'm going to say is just going to be so simple compared to what Brooke just went through. But from my experience, especially redoing the Living World season 1 episodes before this, at first I was not clear on what I was supposed to do. Like I knew I had to do events, but it felt like the events, there were so many people, they would kill things so fast I couldn't get like the actual experience or like the participation for them. And I didn't know there was like a secondary thing I can do, like the Aether Blaze that you mentioned, Brooke, before, or I think the other one is like the very first episode, or the second one was you would find like these like hidden devices throughout the map that some people were like planting. So I, from just reading the quest, I didn't understand there was something different. And then also the mail, maybe it was just maybe it just wasn't intuitive for someone that's just jumping in and not knows how like Guild Wars 2 gives out information. But this one, it felt like the events, like the bosses, gave me a lot more experience, but I actually couldn't find the toxins, or I wasn't sure where they were, because I remember seeing them in the instance, how they were like bluish, but then I couldn't find them in the actual map. So that was confusing for me in general. So I just waited for the chain boss, and luckily they were pretty easy compared to the other episodes.
Okay.
I actually have to agree with you. A lot of the time, even as a veteran player, now I am a bit dense, admittedly, but even as a veteran player, I find myself studying a map going, what the fuck am I supposed to be doing now? Where the fuck are we, and what the fuck are we doing? And and I don't know whether it's, I mean, honestly, I don't know whether it's because I'm not reading every single sentence that the people. I have a tendency, because I'm impatient, to want to click off the speech and just get on with it. So please, if you need me to know stuff, and I can't be alone, please speak to me with the text, with the speaking. That's what I need. Yeah,
I need that as well. My chat will attest to that.
I think they could do more to like specifically indicate that, because when you are in the story beat moment, you want to be in that story beat, right? Like if I'm fighting the Aether Blades, I don't want to be dicking around on some part of the map that I'm like, this event has nothing to do with the Aether Blade struggle. Why am I even doing this? Thinking of that episode with like the unique things, right? Or like you were saying, Glenn, finding some of those hidden communications that are kind of like a cool extra layer of stuff that's going on between the different factions on the maps and stuff. So it's moments like that where something more directed, like a more traditional side quest, is nice in a sense, because you have that NPC or whatever, like you were saying, Fordax, that's like, we found out that there's a whole bunch of correspondences that have been hidden and we need to gather all 15 of them. And so then you start going around the map and you like pick them up and you look for them, or you know, do whatever it is specifically for that. Guild Wars 2 offers you many times 100 solutions to one problem. And it's great because maybe that one thing that you were trying to do is difficult or annoying. And in some regards, it gives you that freedom to be like, oh, I don't want to do that. I'll just pick up these berries off the ground, or, you know, whatever it is. But other times, I think it leads to a lack of clarity, especially if there are like parts of those components that maybe aren't as clearly communicated. It helped a lot for me on this map in in Living Season 1, Episode 4. That Jory had a big green arrow over her head, and that the events that were specific to the toxin were all marked in that exact same green. That helped me a lot just visually to kind of see, okay, this is what I need to do. But Glenn, I did actually have the same moment as you with the toxins, because in the instance, what I thought were the toxins she was referring to were those like mushroom stalks that exploded.
Yeah.
But then there's like actually those weird little clumps that have like a golden marker over them that you can go to and interact with. They're like a little spiky clump ball thing. And I did not even realize that was, I was like looking for mushrooms with red rings around them, and I couldn't find any. So I was like, I don't know, whatever.
You had a golden marker on them? Because I found them, but they had no marks. So I'm like, oh, this is toxic sample. I guess this works. I
thought mine had a yellow marker. At least they did in the Nightmare Tower, I think.
And the Nightmare, yeah, they did, but not in the actual like map. You had to like look and read.
I don't like reading.
They're like things you can actually like salvage, like So then they were like trees and like mining nodes that you can pick up and then you can hand them in, right? I'm pretty sure.
You see, I was a complete idiot. I thought it was the toxic spores that we were farming from the events that I was supposed to hand in. I was like, that would make sense. This is the toxic thing here, toxic thing.
Yeah,
toxic
it was weird.
Pocket. No,
I think everyone just kind of went and did mostly the events.
I think Marjorie still took those because I remember those leaving my inventory.
Oh, Obi says the ones that are specifically left behind from the toxic event, the spore pods, have the golden marker. But the ones that are just around the maps do not have the golden marker. Okay.
But
Interesting.
going back to the 100 solutions for one problem, I wonder if it would help if, like, you know how they have that list of things you can do? What if they just had in all caps, or XYZ,
I think they used to,
or
didn't they?
ABC?
Yeah.
Yes.
It was a little bit, yeah.
Like,
Clear instructions for the hard of
Well, the thing
thinking.
is, you
That's
get
what I need.
for every single thing. So if you look now, like, you actually get the reward of the toxic spores. Like, is that the one you can hand in as well, or is that the collectible thing that you need to craft recipes with, or is it the same? Like, I'm just like, I'm confused massively.
That's the collectible. Marjorie did not want those from me.
Didn't want
Yeah,
that.
she
for
didn't
you.
want
Okay.
those
Taking
That was the
none
one
of
for
my
the
shit. None of it.
inventory.
That is
So
not going to
that's the
help me get that
confusion.
away from my
Both.
face.
Yeah, it would be
it's the
nice,
same,
even
yeah.
if they're like the NPC, the quest giver, as it were. If you clicked on them and they said, you know, here, because they do this sometimes, where you talk to the NPC and then they'll kind of elaborate on what the different tasks are. So if you could talk to them and you could say, like, go collect toxin spores, and you said, yes, I'd like to collect toxin spores, and then it would like show your map and like be like bink 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 bink, like here are the toxin spores or something. I don't know, so that you had like an
It's the
idea.
sound effect did it for me. Thank you.
Draw your attention to them, or something like that. Or, you know, she would have one right next to her, and it's like, this is what it looks like, this is how you harvest it. I know it's silly, but I actually feel really validated in that I'm not the only person that sometimes also looks at what the thing is telling me to do, and I'm like, what?
Oh, we've talked about this before. Sometimes it can be a little bit vague, and it can make you feel a little bit stupid. Like, I definitely like have that feeling at times.
Or when you get a new like special action button and you have to like quickly like look at it and read like what it's supposed to do, and there's a paragraph of what it actually does, and you're in the middle of the combat and everything's going wild, and especially when you're on controller and you have to like slowly move your joystick to go there and read, but you also have to move, but you're out of action combat, so now you're just moving like strafing instead of running around, and it's very scary.
Yeah, I never used my joystick in Guild Wars 2 though, so that was a bit of a flex there, Glenn. Honestly,
that's not a flex though, because this is all I use. So I'm just like
that's a flex. No, it's an awesome flex. Like, you can use the controller video, which will probably be spammed in chat right now.
But I can't.
YouTube tutorial video for setting up controller in Guild Wars 2.
Thank you. But yeah, because like after a certain point, I now can no longer use a keyboard and mouse. I can't play MOBAs. I used to love them, but now my hands just,
Oh god,
they flop.
One day we'll do a podcast on MOBAs. We'll just play Stronghold the entire time.
Oh gosh. But all of that to say, I did feel like in this episode it was a much smoother process in that kind of like map transition. And I was super in it. This huge tower on the map. Everybody was telling me to, like, while you're on the map and the tower is visible, take a look at your actual map, because there's a unique version of that map that pops up. And it is like you can see the tower on it, and it felt very much like the you know, kind of weather effect filter and everything else that was on, and those events when they popped up, and those green markers, like, it felt very fluid for me to go through them, but not so long that it bogged down pushing forward, which I think was really important, because one of the big parts we haven't even really talked about yet is the Tower of Nightmares itself, which was my very first time going through, and that is a pretty lengthy hunk. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do in there, and even more so if you're like me and you talk so much and you're doing giveaways and things while you're doing it, that you complete it with 2 seconds on the clock before you get kicked out. So I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there and a lot of lore and all kinds of things too. So it didn't feel like the episode got bogged down, pushing us towards the real feature point, the real threat, this huge tower that even has some like very interesting foreshadowing in it of some things with the crate that I thought was so fascinating. But there's so much content in the tower alone.
I find it so funny how you say you only had 2 seconds, because this reminds me of when you were doing episode 3 on stream and you were not able to disarm those bombs because you were talking.
I didn't realize that they wanted me to actually time limit disarm all the bombs, and then they exploded and the people died. Which was kind of a fun alternative fail state, I think, reserved for me, the only player in the universe that was so distracted while talking to chat and welcoming in new players that I didn't even do the bombs in time.
Well, granted, that was like one of our first time hearing like Scarlet's voice, so obviously everybody was stunned.
I had a lot of thoughts and feelings about that, yeah.
I'm gonna take us. We'll go through the instance in a minute. I think maybe what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna fast forward my video through the tower itself because I want to go and talk about. Because I reckon maybe we talk about the story first rather than go through the tower. Because I'm not sure how long the tower's gonna take. Or what do you want to do? Do you want to go through the tower first and then we talk about the story post? Or do you want to go, or should we talk about the post story first before we talk about the instance? Because I'm wondering if we are able to go through the instance successfully and if it's going to take ages. Because I want to make sure we get the story talked about.
It'll take some time, so might as well talk about the story as we're going through the tower.
We can do it. I would just want to. It's the instant stuff as well. So there's the. I mean, I guess you go through it anyway because you're taking down different bosses. Okay, let's try. Let's see how we go. We'll see how we go. We'll be all right. Everyone.
I'm excited.
We could. What I could have done was said, like, if everyone in chat wants to join us in a private squad, but I'm not sure how many people it takes to do it successfully.
You want to do the public one?
I don't know.
We might be in different instance if we do that public one, but there's 5. It might be tough. Yeah, I don't know. We can try.
Let's find out.
I was gonna say I decided to try as a private because the public was very stressful as the first time going through it.
I haven't done the public
with us
yet.
now.
Yeah,
I've only done the private.
Did you? How many people were you in the private, Rick? Do you remember? Was it more than 5?
6, 7.
Okay.
We had some join us as we went. So
well, let's yeah,
we're all
some
here,
people
by
are
the way.
whispering
We're
me.
all here.
Well, why don't we even if we get like 3 or 4 people from chat, we can. And you did it, right? Let's do that.
Yeah,
let's do that. Let's make a private one.
I think we do. I think we would be more than able to do it, honestly.
Yeah.
But we'll have to pop back out, right? Or do we? Can we talk to this guy and switch it? Or sorry, this person.
I've gone out. Yeah, I'll create a squad and stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's all good.
Yeah.
It's all good. This is part of it, right? Like this is part of the fun times.
Yeah, and I wanted to ask all of you. This gives us a good moment because okay, so I did it first. With a private squad, and we went through, I say 5 at first. We had ultimately 8 people total join us for working our way all the way up through it. I have heard some of the feedback about the instance being that for people who are going through it by themselves or things like that, and then they went into the public version, that it's super hectic. It's like it's very hectic. It's I mean, obviously we all know MMO players, so MMO players will get to the point where they blast through stuff at breakneck speed, don't like pause for anybody, don't let anybody like explore to try and find all the little lore things and stuff like that. And because it is made to be more of a group content, it is a little bit spicier, right? I personally, I guess I'm of the opinion that it's so tough because I would love it if it was able to flexibly balance for something like a private version where you could just play through it for the story and explore it. But I also kind of feel like it is in some ways similar to things like our Dragonstorm and stuff like that, where it is like meant to be kind of an instant piece of content, and I wouldn't like queue into something like that solo, So it's interesting. I don't know if any of you, if you had negative experiences with it, I guess is what I'm trying to say, going through it at first, or if you really loved it at first.
I really loved it. I don't know what to say. I
like
did
the public as well.
Only so far.
Yeah,
I haven't done the private version.
The public feels more dangerous because everyone's just kind of either follows the commander or everyone's out for themselves, and it's just like feels more dangerous.
It feels so good. It's like a race to the top of the tower, and everybody's just like
absolutely
dropping like flies on the way.
But there's chests as you go through it. Like if you've got the chest thing from like on your bot, you can see chests in there that you may not normally see, and like people are like, oh, how do we get to this chest? And I remember I was like climbing up this random like route and like doing a little glide because you couldn't do that before because you had to go a different way. And
it's such a unique experience in the game too, though. Like the only other time you really got something like this was kind of with the South Sun Cove first exploration, where everybody's just kind of has one purpose, and it's making it to the end of this thing, but
Oh,
not
yeah.
necessarily bringing each other along for it.
Yeah. That's so true.
It's like, yeah, it's fun. It's like one of those. What's that old movie with all those cars? Everybody was in a race together trying to get somewhere.
Cannonball.
Cannonball Run. Yeah.
It kind of feels like that going up the tower, and
Oh, yeah, that's a good
I really
comparison,
enjoy
actually.
it.
Yeah.
I really
For
enjoy it.
me, I wasn't the biggest fan because it reminded me of like dungeons when I tried and people just like blasted through, and I was very lost and confused because there wasn't a commander when I did it, and I felt like when I joined the public it was like 3 of us, and then out of nowhere like just 15, 20, 30 people just came out of nowhere, and it really brought up the it just brought up like the difficulty of all the mobs, and I didn't understand that we're just like trying to go through everything. I'm like, oh, can we like kill some things just so everything's not like diving onto us? And I think the only reason I saw it was because I had like mesmer like blinks, and then I tried to like be with like another dragon hunter, and we were like trying to protect each other. We would die. I was like, okay, let me revive you. So that part was fun, but then I wasn't understanding how then there were like these like elites to kill or champions, and I'm like, wait, do I not get experience if I'm not part of this? And I found like maybe 2 chests. It was confusing, just to say the least. It's like my first time and everyone just gunning it.
Okay, I'm going to say quickly as well, if anyone does want to join us, once we've started going, it's going to be very difficult to continue on with us. So we're not going to come back because it's going to be, because we're still doing the podcast. But if you want to join us, you can join us now. We have a bunch of people, actually. This is awesome. I'm like 10 people, so that's cool. So if anyone does want to come in or you're loading in and chat, please let us know. We'll wait. But we do have to kind of go because we've only got an hour and a half. But that's, we'll get it done. But there's loads of people. Do these people down here, the travel golem? Oh no, that's right, because it's red now because it's only just started. And that's cool. I don't think I've ever seen a private instance of this, because there wasn't a private instance before because there were no squads. As far as I
So
remember.
when this was first introduced, was this just like almost essentially open world content, like an
No,
open world
it was
dungeon
still
kind of
instance.
thing, or-
It was
Oh,
still
okay.
instance, yeah. Because effectively, this is something I was going to bring up. I think this was officially the first meta, like the first technically first meta, because there is nothing else in the game.
Wait.
In Core Guild Wars 2, there was no full meta event, was there? There was like
The Twaddle?
no. I mean like map, in terms of like the same mechanics, like
Centaur?
progressing through something. Other
This-
than there was nothing else really.
The Harathi Centaur meta?
No, that's not the set. I mean, in terms of like Heartthorns, you know how you've got like Dragon's End, and you've got like the lanes, thingamajig, Chakra, like all of that kind of the markers on the map, like the intention of going through a map and kind of doing this overarching goal.
Oh, like the pylons.
Yeah, like you've got this whole thing. There's like events which chain. That's the game. But like this kind of felt like it was the first kind of initial wanderings into like big group content where everyone's already together towards a goal specifically, rather than just like a world boss or like doing events to lead up to a world boss. And I think this is their kind of first basher, and that's what it felt like for me. I'm not sure if that's like right, but
Yeah, I also
know.
feel like there is a bit of a sense of raids in this, which I really loved. I loved, especially because so many players won't really get that kind of like group effort, trash encounters / mini encounters, into little boss phases. Like there is a lot of that in here, and if players are, I think, especially new players, wondering, will I ever get something like that in Guild Wars 2? If, whether they could or couldn't do the dungeons or things like that. This feels much closer to me to something more like a stepping stone to our current raids and that sort of thing. So I really love seeing this here in Season 1, which is free to all players forever that are on the core game from here on out, and that they can play and go through. And I think get more of a sense of some of the really fun design. And it's just cool to like go up through it. My mind was blown with the bosses being those sort of like different, characters we might hallucinate or had lost in the game. I just loved all of it. It's so good.
I will say again, like I like the idea, but because everyone's legit running and gunning it, it's probably not going to be that experience. So maybe people might think it's going to be that, and then they come in and everyone's just like, if you're too slow, you're going to die. And then if no one's like behind you to res you, you're going to have to like, you're just going to be dead.
So there was that.
There's a real Hunger Games vibe to this.
Yes, absolutely. So like the first thing, for example, like the way we've gone into the tower. So if you're listening and you can't watch us right now, we've got about a squad of 10 doing this privately. The first thing you've got to do is kind of destroy this pylon, and you can't really move forward until you've done that. So you all kind of get bombs together and you destroy this pylon, and you kind of go through. I mean, there is a sense of urgency because you've got time limits, like an hour and a half, which is cool. And yeah, Rook, I love what you said about the raiding aspect of that, because I remember that feeling as well when I was first playing it. I was like, you know, you can get, like, this feels like it could be a raid thing, but back then I don't think we had squads, so like we didn't, that I guess wasn't there. But maybe the thought was like, this could be something where, you know, you could progress through this. And I wonder if they could do that in the future, you know, like they could have raids of events we've done in the past, and like, you know, they've got the assets, you know, make bigger arenas, they've got the bosses, you know, create content from that. I think that would be cool from doing past stuff. I would love to see that, honestly, but you know.
The Jade meta feels like a raid, honestly, though.
Yeah, he's pretty rogue.
It does. Glenn you just did that for the first time recently, right? You were talking about it on my stream.
Nice.
Yeah, like I was able to clear after my third try, and it was so much fun.
Sick. That's awesome. Oh, fair try. Okay, cool. I was like,
yeah. The first time was iffy. The second time was really fun because it was very much like, someone was like, we'll try it, and then there were some people that were like being helpful and like essentially leading, and we almost got there, so we were all just like proud of ourselves to like get so far with like so little preparation. Like it was like maybe not even 10 minutes of like prepping, like, do you want to join us?
I love that.
that's awesome. And you did it as well.
So we got we couldn't like finish it off, but like we got to the end, so it was a lot of fun. Nice. I think it was just too many mechanics at the very end.
Okay,
does anyone have a table? Does anyone have a table?
I don't have a table. Got
a board table?
It's okay. We got CC.
How do you put them out? I feel like, you have to like buy them.
Yeah. It's just an item in your thing. We'll be fine. We got CC. Someone's got Sanctuary up there. I've got Shield too.
He's down. It's fine.
Yeah, it's all good. Remember, this is
my first time doing this in a group, so in an organized group. I was just hair on fire, balls of light, running for my life the last time I did this.
Yeah, CC is not something that people massively. I don't know. Like, I think people are getting used to it. You know, the CC, and also don't forget this is like season 1. The intention here is CC, but I feel like as well, like it's still, if you're a new player, like they shouldn't emphasize CC too heavily as they do later in the game, like get and kind of warm you up to CC. Like it should be a thing, but it shouldn't be the be all and end all, thankfully, because I think people are still trying to get used to the fact that boons are a thing in this game at this point in time.
Yeah, I mean, this is great though, because I do feel like this is something that kind of leads players into even understanding a little bit more. Like you were saying, all of that, like it doesn't feel without challenge for veteran players, which is such a hard balance to strike. But I do feel like there's a lot of good lessons, even the special action key in here, even the, all of these different things, we see them kind of pop up here or there in the story. But when you think about how, like in Cairn, you have that special action, sort of glide around and stuff like that, where, again, they're kind of building the overall language of different things that you're going to encounter in like later instanced content, be it fractals or raids or strikes now, right? But in this kind of fun, chaotic way. I mean, I definitely agree, Glenn, thinking back on what we were talking about, with the fact that I think this is something that is going to be tough and probably overwhelming for a good portion of new players that like just don't even know what's happening, and they're not even sure this is their first time going through it. Everybody's just yeeting and rolling through as fast as they can. I think it's always a danger, and it's something that definitely will come into play here. But I feel like overall I still enjoyed this so much. But it's one of those things where it would be so nice if there was some kind of like just playable story specific instance, or like, I mean, it kind of is, I don't know, it's so tough. It's tough.
Honestly, when you get in here and you see everyone running, you kind of just pick up like how is it supposed to be? Like, okay, we're just ignoring all this. Like, it's not like what's going on after a while. It's like, oh, I just have to run and survive.
Yeah, right now that's
Honestly,
what
it
kind
is,
of doing.
and that's what it was to begin with. Like the first time around, a lot of people, it was a learning curve for a lot of people how to get to the top of the tower. You eventually would take like you would make a build just able to run as fast as
my
possible.
goodness.
Really?
Oh yeah. It was like
Yeah.
with Halloween and the
Because
labyrinth
back then
as well,
people didn't
so-
even want to fight in a group with a group mentality with like 30 other people anyway. So everybody was just trying to run to the top of the tower individually as well as they could, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like this was not what was happening. We were not stopping to like fight these ads. We were just like run, get this thing that's like that has the swords.
We
Run,
probably
run,
don't
run.
need to either, honestly. I think we're just doing it for the
Okay.
sake of it.
I like doing
like,
it.
I
I don't
like-
know.
I
Do me
Yeah.
too. I
don't
like
care.
killing things.
Yeah.
I like pressing my
Yeah.
buttons.
I'm not in a rush. That's the thing. I think the rush of the world is a thing. Like, I think actually genuinely back then there was probably more of a necessary like to kill things, because like you can get rares and stuff from them dropping. They're champs, you know, like they drop loot.
People were farming those pristine toxic spores.
I also love using my finisher in here, especially my random one, because I get to show off my PvP stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I'm rank 80. Cool. I get to show off my
this is
dragon
lovely.
and stuff. Like, you know, that's cool.
I got to be honest, from a story point of view, I think that they could have easily had 3 iterations of this: a squad version, an open world version, and a story instance where you run through this with Jury and Marge
Possibly.
and Casimir.
I actually think they could have run through this with you anyway, just
Yeah.
even in the squad one, right?
Well, I mean, so they are here in some capacity. I caught them as like, well, my hair was on fire running through this place, but
Yeah.
yeah, I caught
don't know what that's
conversations
like.
with them. Not good. Not good.
Do the mobs respawn here?
I don't think so.
We gotta go to.
I don't know.
No idea.
I don't know at all.
We gotta
Because
go
I remember I
this
felt
little
like they
thing.
did, so then it made more sense of like just running, because like there's no point if you're like a little too. Actually, I have a question. Has anyone done the Mage Tower in WoW? Because I don't know, like, would this be similar? Because I haven't done
No.
it.
No, Mage Tower is completely different. It's a single player instance. Oh wait, no, it's not single player. You can do a couple of people, but that's a difficulty. It's actually very good. It's tough and challenging, but it's fun.
It's as fucking hard as a coffin nail for some of them. It is
Yeah,
super hard.
I actually really love that content in WoW. So when I started playing it again, it was very
Definitely a
unique.
unique
Very
thing in
unique.
Guild Wars 2, though, and I really appreciate it.
Okay,
Yeah,
we can go.
I do love that this is in here. I think that it is such a fun and interesting piece of content to kind of encounter and to work on and to, you know, go through. You know, you were mentioning, Fornex, the fact that a couple of the NPCs do show up periodically. The one thing I would love for that would be if there was actually like more of a moment where I could talk to them, because I ended up having to default to like trying to talk to their characters while doing these fights, because they just kind of like run around willy-nilly. Like Bram's over here, so I was like,
Yeah,
oh, okay,
there he is.
I'll grab Bram as fast as I can right now, because he's talking about how he thinks he sees his mother here, which is like so haunting, you know? And
Yeah.
he thinks that she's spying on him, because at this point she's still alive.
And thank you to whoever targeted Bram, because I did not know about that dialogue.
Yes, but
Yeah.
I had so much trouble getting this dialogue when I first went through, even with our squad, because they kind of randomly run around and attack whatever, and they'll randomly like run around with whoever's in your
It
squad,
doesn't
not even
trigger,
just you.
yeah, for you.
So like I had to literally like stop fighting in the middle of the boss fights just to try to click on them to get their dialogue and hope they didn't run out of range. So I would have loved a little moment as you enter these areas where they stand there and like have dialogue over their head that you can click on, and then like all agree, kind of like in dungeons, you know, like yes, let's rush to the boss or something. I know it's very silly and it's a very short, tiny bit of dialogue. Either that or to like actually just have them say aloud that dialogue over their heads as you like run through.
Well, it's
as
not
a little
like
speech
just
bubble.
area based. It's like the whole instance based. But like this part, as well. Like when you've got the hallucination. And the first one was Traherne. I don't know if I've ever done the first boss. I mean, I must have previously, but I didn't get to do it yesterday because I was a bit
I
behind.
think it might
when
be a
ran
different
through.
hallucination.
They changed.
Is it
They
changed?
changed.
Oh, I didn't know
It
that
is.
actually.
They changed. Yeah, they changed based
Interesting.
off of your or your party members' mentors. They change sometimes.
Yes,
They're
that's
like they
true.
can be just generic NPCs as well. But Scarlet will actually like talk to you and say like, "Oh, another like dead mentor."
Yeah, I
Like,
know, right? Because there was.
I think it's
I don't know if I want
Traherne
to.
if you haven't
Yes.
done your personal story yet.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I had Tybalt, which is unfortunate.
Oh,
I was the first
seen-
one.
that's so
I was like, because I
bad.
asked in the map, and they were like, yeah, like it is mentors and stuff. I was like, oh.
Oh, I love that.
I
Yeah,
want-
I've
Traherne is
seen-
tough. Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So this is foreshadowing because all of the dead mentors and Traherne isn't dead yet in the story.
know.
But it's foreshadowing.
Oh.
Logan. Logan is also one that you can fight, and I've had
Oh.
uh-huh.
Die
That's a
soon.
good-
And I've
point.
had what is his name? It's not Forgal, is it? The mentor
Forgal,
from
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's the one I had the first. Yeah,
That's interesting.
from the vigil.
I'm loving this.
It's-
This is good. Are we
It's also good for
foreshadowing
people
death?
playing through the first stories because this is really fresh for them because they'll have just been interacting with those people. So
Yeah.
it's amazing.
Wow, if you have the dialogue like priority in terms of volume, like you just hear so much like grunting.
There's a lot.
Permanent grunting, like the whole
That's
time.
me. That's just my character.
Yeah, that's just weird.
It was just Brab. Like, I mean, it is the male Norn, so maybe it is you.
At least it's not a Makote voice 6.
Is that like a fun of what's that?
Yeah, that's
It's
a Final
a
Fantasy
very
reference.
annoying.
Okay.
There
Okay.
isn't there a lore? Oh, it's not in here. There's a lore page in one of these areas.
Oh yeah,
Please
and
tell me
if,
where
the-
these pages are.
if anyone
Yeah,
finds the
please.
chests, that's okay as well. I'm just gonna wait for Bram to come along. Come on, Bram, you slow bastard. Jesus Christ.
I think I want that.
There's a lot
Don't
of.
forget to pick up a key, by the way, for
I'll
the
pick up a key?
chest at the top of the tower.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Wait, this was.
Wait, a key where?
Let me just link it in party.
They haunt
that's
you
the-
so bad in this tower, by the way.
Where do you buy the
Tricolor
key from?
keys? Yeah, where do you get that?
That's at the beginning.
So the
isn't it?
NPC at the start sells it,
You also get one at the end.
and Jury, yeah.
You get one at the end, and there's a chest at the end of the tower where you get one. I will say though,
What do you open? What chests do they open? Keys.
The
The chest at the top of the
chests.
tower. Yeah.
Oh, I must have already had one then from doing it. Okay, that's all right.
Yeah. So anyway, as I was saying, they taunt you at the top because I got to the top, and there's the final instance, right? That you get it to at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But right in front of the final instance, there's diving goggles
Yeah.
that
But you can transport
I'm-
back up to the top anyway.
You can. You
No way! I didn't know that.
can.
Are you
I know.
serious? Oh,
I was
dude,
like,
no!
I don't think. You're not gonna get me this
Oh,
time. I'm already at the top
no,
of
you
the tower. I don't want
didn't
to
know.
climb back up again.
Yeah, no,
I'm
you
not
can.
taking
So
the
if you
time.
fall down, because if you fall down off the thing, that would suck. Because I did that, and I was like, I'm definitely. There's the little parachute people. Because I don't think I had
Parachute
that.
people.
The parachute. It's the parachute mechanic people. It's the parachute people. I don't know. I think they're the parachute people. I'm not sure. Anyway, but yeah, I feel bad that you didn't know.
Fuck. Sorry, I'm gonna mute.
Is
What?
that the right way or the wrong way?
I don't know. I'm just going through it.
I'm
This is-
confused.
Let's go this way.
I don't know. The Boots and I are back here just vibing, I guess. Maybe you went the wrong way.
I'm just following the commander tab, which is Jebro.
Oh,
is a
you two have gone the
terrible
wrong way completely. You're on the first level. We're going
Excellent.
second
Are
level.
you
Yeah.
sure? Because there's an way to go
Yeah,
up
because you're on the first level. We're on the second one.
But there's
Oh. Not that tone.
It's as simple as
I want the
that.
second one.
It's good.
Hey, Jeb. All right.
I'm just
I'm
trying to
just
help
gonna do
you
my
out
own
here,
thing then.
Babel.
Also, I'm just hoping that apparently the first time I did this, I did not go at all in like the north left corner of this chamber.
Yeah.
So
You can
Oh, the
teleport to friend
unicorn.
in here. You can teleport to friend in here if you want to
Can you?
cheat.
I wasn't able to, and I tried
Yeah.
on stream.
Oh no.
Were you not?
Mm-mm.
Or maybe
What if-
because it's a private instance, I was able to do it in a public one.
Oh.
Hey,
We're
take us.
learning new things every day.
Ooh, there's a toxic ceiling.
All right,
over
we
here.
found the right way. We came.
Cool. There's an event over here, peeps.
I am a fountain of useless information.
It's not
It's
useless.
very
Very useful,
useful.
yeah.
Were you also the type, because this was me, growing up, just going from Wikipedia article to article because they just all like piqued your interest?
I was I kind of absorbed lots of general knowledge because of other things other than wiki, but yeah, I liked the mostly very long conversations with my dad.
I saw someone had the unicorn finisher there. I very much approve of that. I like I do kind of I that's why I really like this place. The finishes is very awesome. I do love that. I've said that a few times, but I'm just gonna keep saying it. But like,
During
do you
the
think, is it too difficult for people to feel like that's a thing to keep having that in the game? I guess if you just have loads of enemy dead NPCs around, people get bored of just doing that, I suppose.
I think that, but also like, what if like you don't have the best sustain in your build, and then you thought you killed something, and then they like get back, and because there was a few instances where that happened for me, and like I still have like an okay-ish build but no sustain. And I'm like, no, they keep coming back, and the NPCs not reviving me.
I like the idea of it for specific enemies.
Yeah.
Like enemies in which it would make sense, right? Either they are undead, like the Risen, or they are like the Watch Knights, like we were talking about, constructs that unless you like completely scatter them, they just keep coming back. So I think that even just having like specific, I don't know, in like a raid or something, or you know, having some kind of enemy type that if you got familiar with it, you knew I have to make sure I do a finisher on them. Could add an interesting like layer to things where people would have to make sure, like, you know, take this person down, finish them, take that one, make sure that this, you know, enemy is dealt with. But yeah, I don't know, like across the entire game, I'm sure it would get kind of annoying, you know, especially if you know, you're doing something that is not super, like not meant to be a challenge in any way, or is, you know, older content, or you know, you should be so powerful that, you know, when you kill someone they die. Like
yeah. Well,
It also would be so atypical from other MMOs that like it might just deter people. Like, why do I have to do this? Like, I'm just in the open world, going from like map to map. Why do I have to like kill things twice, type of thing?
That's true. That's true. I think it's very unique to Guild Wars. So sometimes I'm like, maybe they should, I don't know, go into that, lean more into that uniqueness, and then sometimes I'm like, is it worth it? I know Guild Wars 2 does have a lot of stuff where you're like, this is like different, but I don't know if it's necessarily good, like DRMs. And sorry, but like, grumble.
Yeah, I hate them.
But like, yeah, there's just the thing of just like, yeah, but like downing people is like an essential thing in like World v World.
It's such a cool feature
PvP.
for like PvP modes, to be honest. Like, I think that was like, what? And then the strategy, especially with like structured PvP, of like, do you just let them like bleed out for a bit? Do you cleave them? Like, I like that a lot.
Okay, we got the next boss over here, peeps.
I guess it's the new player experience versus the veteran, because it's just second nature to me with all the World v World that I do. If you don't down your enemies, your commander will bitch at you like a motherfucker. So, yeah.
You cleave them out, I guess, as well. Yeah. Okay.
Well, yeah, you've got to get them down because they'll get up, and then you've just wasted your time. Yes.
That's
You're never
true.
gonna keep them down.
It's the rallying, fun rallying. I like it doing this. It's definitely less stressful in a squad. That's for sure. And it's pretty
Yeah,
easy
my
to lead
testicles are
around.
even on fire. Is this even gaming? Come on, what are we doing? Yeah.
If we're not sweating, pressing our buttons, what is this game?
I don't feel
Yeah,
sweaty enough right now. I need everybody to set this up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop giving you quickness.
This is another thing people can do though. But this is the thing. This instance, you can just keep doing over and over again. And technically, you can just keep farming it for materials and stuff, right? Like, is it that Guild Wars 2? Do you think Guild Wars 2 has too many of these, or do you think this is fine? Like, I mean, this is a thing to think about. I'm not sure. honestly,
That's
myself.
the bread and butter of MMOs is an entire genre.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Repeatable content that you farm for something, be it
Sorry, I went
mounts,
the wrong way.
cosmetics, skins, higher eye level gear, whatever it is, right? So no, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it gives longevity to content. I think it gives long-term staying power to content, depending on like what that farm exactly is.
Yeah.
And I think that them tying into this, you know, not just like a one and done kind of deal, right? That there are these resources that you can farm that kind of like you were saying earlier, Jeb, it becomes almost like a mini meta where people run this and will actively be running this, which I think is good overall. So no, I mean, we have a lot of stuff in the game, like the story, although you can even repeat the story. You can repeat the story and do achievements and things.
Yeah.
But like, there are other things in the game that I think are not exactly this, that it's not something that, you know, you do a jump puzzle, you complete the jump puzzle, or you know, complete whatever course or do whatever thing, and it's more one and done, although of course other people will still continue to work on that or farm it or do it in some sort of way. So I don't think it's inherently a bad thing.
I think the main problem that the game has is directing people to all this awesome content because it's kind of hidden and lost, and you like today. I did a boss. I've been playing this game for 10 years. Today, I did a boss chain. I did a boss in Path of Fire that I've never seen before. Like, never.
Oh,
I was
nice.
like, wow,
Okay.
holy shit. Yeah. So, yeah. Please to your content. It's fucking awesome.
For me, I love like all the different variety of stuff that you can do in this game, because to me that's one of the main reasons why I stuck with the game, and I've come back to it and I'm like, you know what, yeah, this game is for me. Because like for me and Rook, we play Final Fantasy 14, and even though like it's an MMO that does have various things, when it comes to various things that are current that people are actually doing, it is so limited. And very little people want to do older content because it's seen as not relevant. Like if anything, it's for cosmetics, but then because people just want the cosmetics, they don't want the challenge. So they'll want to just do it where they're higher level, higher gear, so they can just get through it. And there's not the enjoyment of like, for at least a newer player or like someone that wants to just like relive the old glory days or like when they used to do this fight. It's very rare to find people like that. While here, since there's no like gear grind, everything is like the same, you can do various things, and I can enjoy as a newer player, enjoy things that people done years ago that people are still doing years later.
Yeah, you can never outgear the content. That's a huge selling point that they don't bang on enough about.
I mean, I guess also there is the fact that if this wasn't being re-brought into the game right now, would they even have?
Sorry.
What's the matter?
Sorry, I just pulled some more monsters. So.
Oh, okay, right. That's okay.
Incoming.
We're good.
Fuck. Yes.
It's okay.
Time to be sweaty.
Sweaty
Whoever's at the
time.
front, calm down. Calm down. We're sticking together. The idea is to stick together. Okay. We got some people lagging behind, just trying to bring them
I
back.
also love how like for
go.
the older maps for Living World, like I know a lot of stuff is like tied to like really big achievements like legendaries, and also the dailies of each of the Living World stuff. So it's like I'm here doing this one thing that I would expect not a lot of people to be here, but I'm like, there's like a lot of people doing metas, doing this, and I love it a lot. That there's incentive and there's stuff set out to do older stuff.
Oops.
Yeah.
Come on, D. I'm waiting for you.
You
Sorry.
got it. Yeah, I think one thing that could be talked about, like especially as we were, some of the things that were jumping to my mind as we were just talking now about a lot of this, is that there are so many wonderful things to find on maps, even unique little mini stories, the event chains that are outside of the metas, or like you were saying, a boss you'd never even seen before that was on a certain map. One thing that I really enjoyed about Elder Scrolls Online, which I've talked about a few times, but the way that they handled kind of open world narrative stories and things like that was that in the achievements, because they also very actively make use of an achievement system, but within that, they had on certain maps these almost like they're almost like they're zone complete kind of mentality things, but they tied them into some other unique stuff. Like you have this zone and there's a museum, right? And they're trying to research the history of their people. So if you go around and you become, you know, the ultimate champion explorer of this region or whatever, you find these ancient relics from these different areas that might come from like different events or different, you know, whatever it is. And then you bring them back to the museum and you see them like appear on the pedestals and you get lore about the history and context and like what those, you know, things were. And then as you go through it, you unlock various cosmetic outfits specific to the region and the history of those people. So like they iterate off of that in different ways. They've done stuff like find pieces of this ancient tapestry that was hugely important to us and it unlocks a furnishing item, or, you know, other stuff like that. That's kind of like a post-mortem for each zone as you go through it. But it essentially like makes you go around and like do different events, content, chain, sightseeing. And I feel like something like that in Guild Wars 2, we had the return to achievements, which people were mentioning in chat, which I think did take me back to a lot of maps I hadn't explored in as much detail and directed me towards things like jump puzzles or, you know, side metas, like mini metas that I had never even done. But I would love to see every zone in the game, like in the future of the game, almost get a reliable capstone like that. Like, think about how cool it would be if in Arborstone or, you know, wherever we got something specific to, I don't know, a collection of history through Echovald and like the things you could bring back and upgrade in like a part of Arborstone, or so that you had like more of a reason to, in a directed way, seek those out. And they're usually indicated by a quest where you start there and you talk and they're telling you about like what their mission is. And then that leads you to something like the achievements opening up and you have an idea, which we, you know, have in the game. But I think that would give people almost more opportunity to revisit those maps and specifically call out things that, yeah, might be a little finicky, but would be part specifically of this collection. Like, you know, complete 3 side stories on this map, or, you know, follow this event chain to its fruition, or those sorts of things that would kind of be almost their own lore collection or something, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, take my money, please. Take my money.
Okay, we had Ritlock there as well, who was the boss. So like, it's not all like, you know, because Ritlock's never gonna die. Because if he does, that'll be sad.
No, you never die.
But like,
he's totally gonna kill him at some point.
no.
Oh,
How dare
No,
you.
he and Logan have to fall in love and live happily ever after and get married after Kaz and Jory. Come on.
Yeah.
Anise will be the one to be like, no, Jenna's not gonna happen. But look to Ritlock.
Ritlock
Also,
DPS.
Jenna being Lissa
There you go.
would be a good reason why Logan's so infatuated with her.
Oh my gosh.
You never know. So,
True.
I also-
so is this too long? Do you think, or is this okay? Is this like is this instance like too much of a thing to be like, you know?
It's fine.
I'm happy. I'm happy.
Yeah, it's hugely important. And I think they balance the story content and this instant content well, right? Like, it feels like even though the vast majority of this episode is in and of itself action storytelling and this instant and the other things that you're doing, I still felt like it was a satisfying chunk and that it was enjoyable.
Cool.
Especially hearing Scarlet's voice, it's everything.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
Like, I love it so much.
Yeah, she's good. She's very
She's
Like,
good.
we
so
get to
sweet and
really-
so sinister. It's quite disturbing.
But it's
We
not
get to see
even-
like the
Yeah, it's like the poison. The thing is, so there's 2 elements to this. There's the physical poison, and then there's the mental poison that she's trying to inflict upon you. So she threw out, like, there was a line where she's saying, you know, she's saying like Ritlock is, you know, taking down all of the mistakes you're making. You know, you're meant. Are you okay there, Fornix?
Fuck you, Crate. Fuck you.
I have
Okay.
a question about this actually, because by the end of this, when you defeat everybody,
Yeah.
she doesn't seem very upset about it. It seems like it was all
This is
just a means to an end.
this is exactly. This is not the plan. This is just like
Right,
part
but then
of it.
what?
Yeah.
What was the point of
What's
it?
the point? And this is aggression. This is a good thing. Yeah, because I
there
felt
probably
that as
wasn't
well.
a point.
That's the thing. I think she's just trying to, like, she's messing with us, the poison, you know, she's got the Sylvari here, like, she's got the Nightmare Court, She's got like the crate. She's just trying to build
we
up
gotta
these
get the last
forces, the
toxic
Aether
portal, whatever it
blades,
is.
and everything else. Because she didn't have the crate before this, did she? Right?
Where is
Or
the
did
last
she?
toxic portal?
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean,
Did
it
she
was
have the
interesting
crate
because
Yeah. Right? When
But I
did she
hadn't
have the
interacted
crate?
with we hadn't interacted with them yet. She built the
Yeah.
alliances before the whole thing all shebang kicked off. And she had them like
right,
pieces like
okay,
pieces
yeah,
on a
yeah,
board. Yeah.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So we had
I mean-
yeah, that's kind of what.
Yeah, that's the thing in my book. It's funny because I think there's even like there are many ways to interpret her. At the end of this episode, you get the question from one of the NPCs, and you're talking to them. Do you think this was all just her toying with us, or do you think this is
Yeah.
part of a plan? And you yourself can choose what you say in that instance, which I think is really telling. For me, I feel like although she has, I mean, fallen prey to, you know, this corruption of her mind, and she's lost so much sense of self and what would be considered to be her own traditional logic, she's still a brilliant mind. And I was saying as we were playing through how truly impressive it is that these disparate factions, like these groups that have had their own dissatisfaction with the world in many ways, she was able to bring them together. And not only that, but then to like merge all of their different magics, technologies, all of these different things, right? In many ways, she does what we ourselves go on to do as the commander. And at that time, I actually had somebody in the chat mention that they have a whole like headcanon AU character that they do that is Scarlet if she had become the commander and had stood up to Mordremoth to face his threat like she was intentioned to initially. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool, because a lot of times when we have our own headcanons or we role play or things like that, right, a lot of it is built out of our love of the game and the themes and narratives and characterization that are in here that inspire us and that have some sort of basis, or why we write fan fiction, right? And so to me, I think there are some amazing parallels with her. And I think that her assault on the world was not just a one-pronged thing. I think some of it perhaps was, I guess you could say, to entertain herself when facing this void. But a lot of it as well, I think, was her own fascination, her own ability to bring people together. You can't win on one front. Okay, well then I'll assault you from 1,000 fronts and I'll eat away at you, just like my sense of self, who I am, has been eaten away at. And
yeah, that's
I
the
think
big point.
Brooke, when are you going to be a professional game reviewer?
I think she already is, isn't she?
I've written a few reviews, but I mean,
Oh.
it's just one of those things where I think there are a lot of themes, and how much logic you want to read into this as being an actual actionable strategy, and how much of this was experimentation or other things, I think is really up to you as a player. But she was definitely trying a lot.
Can I be a law nerd right now?
Yeah.
So she got together. The goal was to make the Breachmaker. She needed to track the ley lines. She needed to understand the eternal alchemy to do that. Hence the inquest. She needed to be able to bore down into them. Hence those awful dredge creatures. She needed, and she also needed armies. And this is where the Crate, Formidable, and the Nightmare Court came into play. They each got something from this. The whole Tower of Nightmare is to bring about their profit. This is the only reason they're helping her. They have no love for her. They have no interest in her goals. The only reason that this tower is here is to bring forth the profit from their past. So they believe that, so these Crate obelisks, the Crate believe that those are points at which their elders sort of like, think of it as ancestor worship, passed into another realm, and they've been waiting for them to come back to take over and murder everybody and reclaim Tyria. And she has literally given birth to one of their ancestors for them to secure their alliance. You didn't.
There you go.
Am I the only one who knows this?
No, we know
no.
bits and pieces, but like not like the not like the because that's what we fight later, isn't it?
It is funny that they still follow her after we.
Well, there's got to be a reason, right? Like
take out the
people join you, and that makes
profit really easily.
Well, I mean, if she wins, she can just do it again.
Right.
Yeah. She can, and there is a lore book in here that talks about that. That is up top that mentions, and it has some like very intense foreshadowing about like what would happen if they did return from their realm, or if these things occurred, what would they have found beyond? Were they in a place like the Mists? Is that where they ascended to, or is it something else yet unknown?
People, I think we have to kill them within like a certain amount of time of each other, apparently.
Oh shit balls.
Yeah,
okay.
That was what I found out the other day, and I was like questioning it. I was like, are you sure? Because I didn't know. So like if we split off onto the other one a little bit, I'm not 100% sure. I'm pretty, that's what I was told anyway, so I'm gonna blind, oh it is, okay, good. So there is those mechanics in this.
I'm having a great time learning about all this lore right now, because
yeah, this is why they're here. I'm just the host. I'm bringing people out. I've met like before when I played this game, like I just knew the basic gist of the story, but I learned a lot from all. This is why it's good to have so many different people on there, because I don't know a lot of this stuff myself. Yeah. So like,
my law knowledge is the only reason he puts up with my shit. That's the only reason I'm here.
No, I mean, okay, you're here for so many reasons. You're a brilliant human being that we love getting to spend time with.
Actually, everyone, if you come into the corner where the actual thing is, then the boss will follow you and we can just clear them both. Come up.
But it was really interesting because one of the big questions leading up into End of Dragons was the fact that for a very long time we've been hearing about some kind of disruption in the deep sea, right? And a lot of people were anticipating that must be about Suwan, as we would eventually come to know her, but it must be about Bubbles. Maybe that dragon is stirring. But in this same lore book that also talks about the crate and everything else within there, they talk specifically about the fact that, was that actually what it was? Was it this dragon? Was it something else? We don't actually know. And when you think about what we now know about Suwan, right? It seems very unlikely, given that she was a battery in a thing, that she was stirring up draconic minions under the waves and pushing various groups out from the water, and causing these disruptions. And then if something like this with the ascendancy of the crate plays any role in what's happening, or the fact that we've even seen so many of the crate in their iterations. Is it the crate? No, it's the crate. They just have a beautiful new version in End of Dragons where they are more adorned.
Oh, the Naga?
The Naga. We have these like factions that are a part of the old ruins in like what was old Kaineng City, as well as these little hints that we've gotten about something happening in Raisu Palace. So like, are these all hints tying together? I don't know. I have no idea, but it does seem like given the chance to be able to come back in, re-implement a lot of this story, not only foreshadow End of Dragons, but also foreshadow maybe some other things, that there are some interesting connections they've kind of drawn through here.
The fuck? Sorry.
You're fine.
I'm great.
Peeps. Over here. Over this way. And the next bit. It's all good. Oh, wait.
I once again had really intense deja vu. I don't know what's going on today.
It's this instance kind of does that. It's like if you do the labyrinth in Halloween event and then you've done it for 10 years.
Did I do it once or did I do it 1,000 times? I don't know.
I don't know how many times I've done that thing.
I'm hopeful in law terms that the thing under the ocean that drove everything out, obviously, as you said, it wasn't Suan. I'm hopeful that we're going to get our Lovecraftian moment. We're going to get our horrors from the great deep. I really, really want that. I really want that.
Before that happens, though, before that happens, in terms of this thing into the story as well, how was it like doing, because you can do, what is it? It does that thing again that it did in End of Dragon, so it's harking back a little bit, like the achievements, like play the story after you've done the tower was like a thing, like an achievement, I think, as far as I remember. Like you could do the story after you'd done this, so it tried to make you do, I think, successfully or something. I can't remember if there was like a chain achievement or something. There's loads of new achievements, and you can actually get if you get a ton of the achievements from this, then you can get a cheeky new dagger, which you can actually make. You can make an ascended dagger, which is, I think it's like a pink. I think It's not Casimir's dagger or something. It's someone's dagger.
Yeah. So
Or is it?
every single one of the
Ow.
final rewards for doing all the living season 1 achievements.
Yeah.
For each episode gives you a
graphics
trinket, and apparently every single one of those trinkets, don't throw them away because you could use them in the Mystic Forge to make a new weapon skin.
You can buy them again, by the way, as well. You
That's
can buy
good.
them from the script pirate area for 10
good.
gold or something. Yeah, that's
Brand new
got 'em.
information right there.
Yeah, they're good. Like, yeah, there's, I don't know about the trinkets or what that. I guess they turn into ascended, maybe. But the weapon skin, I think this is the first one, which is a weapon skin. I can't remember, but like it's
No, I
this
think
new one.
Aaron, I just realized who we were fighting.
Yeah.
I haven't had this one yet.
Oh wow, okay, yeah. I don't know. I've done it, but like I can remember the story. Yeah, yeah, of course.
Yeah,
You know
I
that
was
you
like
actually
you.
get
I
to
played
fight-
Savari first, and her death was quite a kick in the balls. It really was. Sorry, Boots.
I was gonna say it's actually quite sad. You get to fight Ciaran and your old mentor before this as well. Like, not as an illusion, as an actual thing. You get to fight them again. Down in not Bloodtide Coast, the one below that one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Wait.
yeah. In one event,
Oh, she comes
the
back.
reanimated corpse of your
What?
mentor
I
comes
didn't
and
know
fights
that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
you. Yeah.
Mm.
I feel like I'm missing something when y'all talk about mentors. Maybe I didn't.
Mentor is the person that you do the personal story, and then you kind of go under the wing of someone when you've picked a faction, right? So you pick Order Whispers or whoever. So Whispers was Tibor, so that's my mentor.
okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, yes.
That's just
So
like
it's-
how people refer to them as the mentor figure in the narrative.
Okay.
Point though, Ciaran can't become a risen though, so it might not be.
Well, but we do actually know that there are some Sylvari that were affected by his magic, because we see them in oh my gosh, Living Season 4. They're part of the forces. I'm not sure, maybe Crichton can lore check me on this, but we see a group of undead Sylvari that they might, you know what, they might be undeadified though because of not Mordremoth's magic, or not Zaitan's magic, but Joko's,
Joko, yeah.
the necromantic
Yeah.
awakens
different
kind
death.
of magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were quite strict on the fact that the only reason that Sylvari aren't affected by dragon magic is because they're under the dominion of another dragon.
Mm.
There we go.
And here's me thinking I was playing a good guy when I got the English accented character. But of course, never. Doesn't happen.
That was awesome because when Heart of Thorns came out, everyone just assumed, like, there was a lot of people, including me, who were like, "Ooh, does that mean the Sylvari are going to be the evil faction, and there's going to be sides, and there's going to be Alliance versus Horde, and all this kind of stuff?" Like, that was a real thing that people wanted. Like, it was something that I wanted. I was like, "That'd be so cool. Now I want to be a Sylvari."
Mother-
Did you fall off?
Fucker!
You fell off.
No.
That
That's
happened
hilarious.
to me too. That happened to me too when I made it up here on stream and I got yeeted all the way down to the bottom of the tower.
But you can transport back up.
Thankfully,
Use
we
the
can
use
just
the
teleport
prior
back.
up.
You can
Yeah,
teleport
that's
back.
so funny because it happened to me.
Wait,
too.
how do I teleport back? Not me walking off.
The
I have to check
parachute.
the map.
Check the parachute person. There's a
What
little
parachute?
parachute above their head.
You can also
I see.
yeah, you can also use those like you would use waypoints.
Don't
So
go into
you
the
can
next instance.
click
Yeah.
you can go onto the map and you can click them from anywhere and teleport to them.
I have
Everyone
to pay
wait.
money.
Everyone wait. It's not much money.
Is everybody ready for the dive?
I haven't done that yet. I would totally do it.
Let's do it at the
Okay,
end.
let's
No,
dive
can we do
together.
it? Oh, we can do it now. We can all do it now if you want. Don't go in yet. Don't go to the instance yet, peeps. We did it pretty
Get
quick.
undressed with me.
Boom.
Sorry for
Oh, this is-
delay. Sorry for the
this is
delay.
Oh,
so
don't
high.
apologize. We both literally
We're just hanging out.
multiples of us have done that. So
I mean, I fall into, so for next, it's you and me, wavelengths, fall length.
Oh dear. Shit, it's sealed.
No, it shouldn't be.
you should be able to come
The
up.
chamber is sealed to enter at the moment.
Oh, you're outside
again.
the whole instance?
No, I'm in the tower, but
You should be able to just click on the
Like-
airdrop. and
Click
come
to
up.
airdrop into the top level of the Tower of Nightmares. Should take
Yeah.
you back up.
Okay, I'll try and do that. Okay.
Oh, you can
You
just
can
click on it. Wow.
in the map, and on your mini map
Mhm.
thing.
I went all the way to the NPC thinking, oh, that's how I should do it, right?
Oh,
So
Oh.
we're here. This is the instance we're at. So yeah, the light waypoints, like Rook said. So we're here. That we've worked our way all the way up to the top to basically put this toxin into the heart or the seed or what the flip it's called.
So gross.
Yeah, I love it. It's very dark and it's very. I don't know. I like all of this. It's very cool.
They went full on, and that's great, but also ill.
I'm gonna go. Let's go. Whee!
I have to wait for.
are you doing
everybody.
it? Wait.
I'm just
Oh,
going
yeah.
because I'm impatient and I can just come back and do it in a sec.
Oh, okay.
Over here, Yira.
I think I've got this achievement. I'm pretty sure.
Goggles.
Is it like a needle threading type of situation, or do you just
No.
like?
I think you just jump.
Just YOLO? Okay. YOLO.
You get to find out, peeps, if you've.
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
There you go.
Oh, I see things. Oh.
I don't even
Oh,
know
no.
where to go now.
Oh no.
Have we
I
found?
think
Have
you
we
just try
like?
not to die, and you just make it into the water.
You
Yeah,
can't
you're good.
port while you're in the water. That's the problem.
Oh, there's a voice thing here.
Oh yeah.
There is. There's a voice recording down there. There's a Scarlet recording, and it's so good.
Oh, let me just play it for the stream.
Starting to feel stable again, albeit exhausted. I can't dream anymore. It's pitch black when I close my eyes.
Oh.
Empty. I feel like pieces of myself are wilting away. A dying rose, watching my petals drop on the floor. One by one. I want to remember my life before the last one falls. Best. You are Fury.
You're finished.
This is Scarlet Briar.
Bollocks.
This is Scarlet Briar. This is Scarlet Briar. Let her take root. Let her snuff out every bloom in the garden, leaving behind only a single thorny stem.
Ooh, that was cool.
Wow.
I've not
Isn't
heard
that
that. That is good.
Yeah, that's what I honestly. This season has just made me realize why Scarlet was so iconic. I love her. I mean, I honestly think she's one of my absolute top villains in the game
she's
now.
my favorite
having
character in the
gotten to
entire game.
experience her. She's so
ever
cool.
since. I don't think there's
I
been
also-
other than Joker. Like I'm like she's like one of my she has been. I think she is.
I
for
love
a lot
how
of people.
comical she is, but also
Very good.
so deep.
Oh no, we got
Oh,
teleport
no.
out.
Oh.
We did.
Well, I mean, we finished it, so
Well, we didn't do the last instance.
you can usually, I think, teleport directly there to the last instance.
Oh, we got
good
port to
point.
K6 Hills though. Oh, can we?
Yeah.
Or we
I was
can
able to
just go back in?
teleport to it just by talking to Tyrell, and then maybe you can't if you've already done the story though.
Yeah. Oh well. Well.
Wait, we can port to them though, can't we?
We did it.
we
Isn't there
did it,
people still in
everybody.
there?
we did.
I told you.
Oh,
I
it's
told you
five
that
person.
The,
It's 5 person anyway, so we can't do it. No,
I
that's
told
fine.
you that
Yeah,
the
yeah. It's story
the
instance.
diving goggles was a bait. The diving goggles is always a bait.
No, but the last instance you can't do as a squad anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a story. It's a personal story instance.
Oh, okay.
Or it's like so you can do it in a pie of 5 people. Yeah, this is fun.
I enjoy like having to figure out like what to do or choosing to just destroy everything.
Well, the 5. I'm just gonna show some footage so we can actually people can watch it so we can talk about it. So it's okay. I'm just gonna show it.
Also, as we all
Easier.
know, I can't talk and play at the same time.
We have learned that in the past. Yes.
So, yeah.
I need to be right back a second. Sorry, guys.
That's fine.
Yeah,
That's
you're
fine.
fine.
So in terms of and everyone who was just in game as well, like thank you so much for joining us as well. I really appreciate that.
Are we all agreed that Scarlet Briar is named after Ruby Bayer?
Wait, what?
Scarlet Briar, named after Ruby Bayer.
I don't know if that's a thing.
Oh. Maybe.
Did you just make that up, or are you actually being?
No, it's something I thought about a while ago.
I'm pretty sure it's not. I mean, I think briar and tree and all that kind of stuff is.
I have no comment.
Okay.
I have no comment. I'm glad you're telling us that, though. You're doing it again. I respect all of this. Okay, I'm gonna just find a point in the story where you go to this bit, and here we go. Okay. Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that. Like, we did that it was pretty easy, honestly. Like, and we just chilled. We took our time, like 10 people, and like get in your guild and do that once a week or once a day or whatever you want to do, and have a laugh.
So what kind of rewards can you get from this?
There's a vendor there, and you can talk to. So, there is the part. Actually, if you look on, if you look at the. This is an interesting thing I was going to ask you about as well, actually, because they've made it very themed. If you go on the gem store, there are these boxes you can get, and they are, what are they? What are they called? Oh man, chat, help me. Here we go. Returning season 1 memory box. That's it. It's 200 gemmers. Maybe I'll just buy one and get it now. And try it out. But like, you can get past season 1 stuff. Oh, that's interesting. They've changed the weapon. Oh, there's a different one. I didn't even notice these before. So there was the returning memory box for each episode. I didn't even see this. Oh, that's interesting. And the one for Scarlet versus was it Scarlet versus whatever, the latest episode has got the fused skins in there, which are worth like thousands upon thousands of gold. They're worth so much gold. So if you get lucky, you get one of those weapons, like boom. Obviously they're coming down in price, but like, what do you reckon about these boxes? Because they've got the aetherized weapons in there. They've got the old like Scarlet's Veil skin, the helmet. They've got the mini like armored Scarlet. They've got the cool Scarlet's Rainbow, which is the big gun. Yeah, what do you reckon about this? Is it like all right? Like, it's just as a fun extra thing. I actually completely forgot that this came out every episode. Funnily enough,
I mean, it's
don't
fine.
care. Just a cool side thing. Blue boxes. Yeah. That's it. Yeah, I guess.
I mean, it's one of those things. Do these vendors sell those same rewards if you like work for them, or are they unlockable, or is it that you can only get those old rewards by buying with cash money?
I think the helmet you can get somewhere else. I feel like I've seen that in like the statuettes or something, because I know you can get some.
So where is this vendor, by the way?
Not that the one thing I was talking about was on the gem store, but there is a vendor here somewhere. Where is the vendor? There was a vendor here before.
Also, hi, Crew.
Oh, it's in the
Hey,
instance
Crew.
as well. Hey, Crew, thank you for the raid. Appreciate it very much. You can go into the actual thingy and check, because there's a vendor in there. They do sell some of the old stuff, and you need this currency specific to this as well.
Are we diving back in?
Oh, she was no.
vendor
Just checking out the vendor.
What's the Scarlet's rifle called again?
The rainbow thing. Something rainbow.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's like the toxic finisher, and there's a bunch of recipes. This is where you can get tormented sigils from, and all that.
Do you
kind
want
of
to
stuff.
see it? I have it on one of my characters. Do you want me to
Which
jump
one?
and get it?
Which one? Sorry.
Yes,
The rifle.
I do.
Oh
want
yeah,
that.
sure.
Okay.
So wait, hold up. Where is this vendor?
Inside the actual
So I'm-
instance.
I'm inside and I see Sergeant Walters and
No,
I see
no,
the
no.
supply golem.
So
and...
the one item they're talking about is off of the gem store. That's one of the skins.
Where is the vendor for the rewards for Nightmare Tower? is
Oh
my
yeah,
question.
it's the Sergeant Walters. Yeah,
Oh, you just talk to her and she'll
Yeah,
unlock
yeah.
a thing?
yeah. She's just got. There's no skins or anything on her.
Really? I'm not seeing like a.
Yeah, she doesn't say anything to me.
She's
about it.
asking for me to give the spore samples.
Interesting. I wonder why then. Maybe it's
She's
a different
telling
instance.
me
though?
enter. She's saying enter the tower, recover the antitoxin, finish our mission.
Okay.
It's because
Right.
we're in a private. Because
I went
you
into
went to
public.
public,
I went into public.
but when we go in, we only get the
Oh.
private option.
I had the vendor there before as well.
Hmm.
That's weird. I wonder. Have you
I
you've
didn't
completed Sorry though?
Yeah, I have no idea.
Oh, you can get it from the Laurel vendor as well. The helmet and the injector backpack. Yeah, the injector backpack is
Ooh.
old. That is odd.
Yeah,
I'm not sure why then.
It's perhaps a little bit of a bummer if oh, there's no public squad right now. It's perhaps a little bit of a bummer if hold on. Oh my gosh, sorry, I'm trying to multitask and I just need to speak. If all of those rewards that originally came from the seasons, if the only way to obtain them is through the cash shop, again, like I do really appreciate that we need to support the game, like just straight up, you know what I mean? And that it's something where they need to generate revenue as they continue through the game. But I would hope that those would be acquirable from running the content that they were originally just rewarded for, or that, you know, as you completed achievements or whatever it was, or ran loops or something, you could buy those with in-game currency as well for having done Nightmare Tower or something like that, so that you could actually roll them and try your luck at them. It's not the end of the world. I don't think there's anything wildly like so incredible in those that I'm losing my mind, but if they were rewards that were in the game and they've just been sitting there otherwise, it would have been nice to have them be
I know what you mean.
acquirable.
I saw a lot of them.
There is the rifle.
There's a lot of the statuettes. A lot of the statuettes have the old rewards, and there are a lot of rewards from like vendors I've seen in most of the places. Where are you? I don't even see you. It's very cool. I've got it as well, but it'll be tiny on my character.
I'm jumping up and down in front of Boots, and he's just not responding at all.
Oh,
for those of you who are just listening, Boots actually has a puppy.
Oh, it's there. Yeah. I see it now. Oh, okay. So it's like see-through. It's like a ghost rifle.
Yeah, it's a ghost. You never said that skin was like one that was worth so much money. Actually, probably still is. It now? I don't know. I haven't checked it. I've got the one which isn't the ghostly one.
Yeah, I can link it, can't I?
Scarlet's Rainbow
There
is
you are.
123 gold.
There you go.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cheaper now, probably. It's very good.
It does look like, from what I'm seeing, I think a lot of these skins are maybe in the game in different ways. Although these ones I don't think I've ever seen before. The Sclerite ones from the Flame and Festivals episode that have the like moving eyeballs. Those are kind of creepy.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I still think like the Charsuka skins are best for the rifles. That's just me.
Yeah, I agree with you.
I just had like a
it's
new
adequately large.
I just had like a new player like just literally whisper me and say, "Hi, why are all these people here?"
Yeah, the commander. You know what's going on.
Yeah, that's it. And I was just like, well, that's the thing. Like people might not know because you're not end game. This goes back. You know, it's not very linear. So if you're a low level and you see loads of people, that's quite cool. Like you're like, oh, there's this new thing, and maybe there should be some kind of explanation. I wonder if there is for lower level characters. Like if you go over to them and they say, oh well, we're doing this thing. You might not be strong enough yet to do this or something like that. Probably is helpful.
Actually, this character has got the the season 2 achievement armor, the glowy illuminated light. Yeah, that was a complete ball ache. That was.
Yeah, I just can't be asked to do that. Right, I'm gonna bring up the story stuff. We can just go through this because I'm very aware that we are running out of time. Okay, so we've gone through all the instances. Yeah, I was on my own in different parts because I was just wandering around trying to explore this place. Here we go. I'm just wondering if this is a story instance. Yeah, there we go. I need to actually exit the game for Guild Wars 2 as well, because otherwise that's going to be in the background forever. Okay, so you get to the top, and then you got to go into the instance. Can actually find my player. There we go. And there's tons of rewards up there. You know these load screen art in these episodes, like this one specifically, is so good. Like I always take a screenshot of the art of this, of like Scarlet. Like it's so good. But this one is really, really interesting because she is sitting there in the middle, and then she's kind of got all of the different races. She's got the Aether Blades. I think she's got Mitrin is on one side of her, and then she's got she's got everyone there. Everyone's kind of there, aren't they? And she's got the kind of, is that crate behind her? Who is that? That's like...
That's in Solus.
Okay, right. So like everyone's kind of present and it's like all kind of coming together. It's just, I just love the artwork in this game, man. I really want them to sell these prints.
It's
They need to
chilling.
sell the damn prints of the game. People will buy that shit. But yeah, so we're going to the instance. We find there's Marjorie, there's Casimir, and we're kind of walking through into talking to Scarlet, killing bosses, doing all the things. What were these instances like? Did you enjoy this part of the story? Was it fun? Was it a little bit? You just had this big, massive like group content, and then you kind of going back into your own either party or yourself. Like, how did that flow? The episode
I was
in
able
general.
to breathe. That was my experience.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Good point. Well, do you want to say more about that? What do you mean? Like, if other people don't know what you mean by that.
So,
specifically.
because I did a public and I wasn't expecting it to go how it went, and just running for my life, being able to like relax and take a breath, it was nice. And also was another reason to like know more about Casimir and Marjorie, and I really enjoyed that as well.
Very true. Very true. Anyone else like even just like I don't know, mechanics and bosses and stuff like that? Because I felt at this point I was like, I've kind of been killing the same thing quite consistently by this point, and I was like ready for some change. And then we got some clockwork, like the Clockwork Knight little bots and stuff, which was nice. And I like that difference. That was cool. But it's still a little bit of the same. Like I think, they carried the theme through very well. This idea that you're progressing through this tower, you're still not kind of there. You're almost there, but you're kind of almost there. And then you're against, who is this? I can't remember who this boss was. Oh no, sorry, it wasn't bosses. It was just Aether Blades popping in because we hadn't seen them much either. So everyone's kind of present towards the end of this story episode, I guess. But also hallucinations, because there was hallucinations of Aether Blades as well, and then there was some Aether Blades, I think. I'm not sure. But yeah.
Yeah, this was an interesting capstone. I liked it. I thought it contrasted, but didn't feel as though the momentum had stopped. I liked having a moment to investigate. We were talking earlier about how fun it is to see, the detective agency in many ways, right? So what do? You need to actually have some moments where you are putting together clues and trying to uncover what the machinations are here, what things are going on. It's been fun how they've also been playing with time skips a little bit. So, we even had the time lapse at the end of Dragons, but then here they talk, oh, they've been here for a little bit trying to work on this, so can you come help them? So as you go through those little tidbits and additional lore things in that moment again to get a sense of we got some more, another little lore document from Phelan and another voice recording that's in that chamber in addition to all the stuff you can interact with. I thought it was really well done. I thought that it felt very natural to me in a way that we were talking earlier about how it can be a little bit difficult sometimes in certain instances to know exactly what you're doing or for certain open world events. But in this one, I felt much more almost as though we were back in the beginning of End of Dragons when you're trying to puzzle out how to get out of the cell, where you're kind of going through everything and you're, looking at stuff and then putting two and two together with, oh, well, if I can use this on that, then it'll reveal something. Or if I can, put this in there, it'll do something. And I thought it was really fun. I liked the little creativity of thought in that. And then the fight afterwards and the optional fight, if you stick around to do it. It's nice to have the option to stay or to go. If you don't want to or you're solo, it can be really spicy, but we stayed and did it with a group. And I really enjoyed it. And I thought it was a nice little capstone at the top, that final kind of boss moment,
That is a group fight for sure. Because if you're on your own, I just got bored and I left. I was just like, this fight is boring.
I tried to do it to the end, but there's a timer. The place explodes.
Yeah. I just wanted to leave. I think I was just like, I want to get the footage, but I think I did it before. But I have to do it again because of the achievements. But it is hard solo, but it's fun if you get the right. If you got enough CC. And you got a little bit of sustain, but you still need to be really damage oriented. But
you need more damage. I was on my Firebrand, which solo does 12k to 15k DPS, but without any group support. And it was only at 50% health when the timer went off. So I think conditions are good on that boss as well. But it is
It is difficult. I think Rook's right. You know, there is
Wait,
that.
the timer doesn't do anything? Oh, I left when the timer was at 1 second.
Oh, really? That
Could've
doesn't
just
make
stayed.
any
Oh,
sense.
well.
Why would it
Alright.
not do anything? That's silly. Oh well. That's. Don't tell anyone about that. Oh well, we'll tell
I
the
wanted
people who
to
watch this.
add about the ads before that last fight when you're
Right.
like killing the Flame Legion to take out the portals. That one big Flame Legion that keeps jumping on you needed to calm down. Like
there were
it
a
was
few
so
that.
beefy, and every single jump would knock you down. And I'm like, can you please stop? Excuse you, this is illegal.
It's so good that it's difficult,
Stability.
though. It's good that it's different. The danger aspect in Guild Wars 2 is really, really good because if you play ESO, it's just such a cakewalk.
Oh,
And like, I don't know what it's like in Final Fantasy and later stories, but like, there are some mobs in Final Fantasy when I'm playing through who are a bit tough just because I didn't know my mechanics. But like in Guild Wars 2, there is sometimes a real sense of danger. Sometimes there is a sense of the boss is just going on for way too long and it's just about, you know, time rather than difficulty as well. They've definitely got their mix. But I just stopped because Scarlet came on the screen. I actually got this armor because this is is it the Magitech? I can't remember. It looks different on female character models than male character models, but I got this released, her armor released, so you can actually get it. It's just so cool. Sorry, she's just awesome. Then there was this cutscene which I completely forgot about.
A little anticipation. We've been having so much fun, haven't we?
Very good. The art style, I miss this so much. And she kind of explains what's going on a little bit in this. I thought this was a good touch as well. I don't think we see as many cutscenes as we used to, for sure, because they tell the story more in the gameplay, in like the actual game itself, with the voices, with like the characters there. They do a lot of that more so. I don't know, I think I kind of miss this style for sure, especially Farron like being flamed with his little pants on in a small little bowl, which is just fantastic.
With his budgie smugglers, yeah, that's amazing.
The whole thing was just hilarious. It was just so good, and you just get reminded about how awesome this was. And I would love to do like so for school I had to do a diagnosis for a fictional character. I wish I'd done Scarlet Briar. I actually did Batman. But like Scarlet Briar is one of those people where I'm like, I would love to diagnose them. Because you could have so many different diagnoses, because like, you know, it wouldn't just be one, it would be like several of her, but especially if you judge it based on that little cinematic, which was very cool. You gonna say something, Boots?
No, I was saying I was watching the cinematic and then they had the pod opening and it was just a little blah, the guy popping out.
It looks cool.
Yeah.
The boss is nice. Like the boss, this is the fractal, right? This boss is in the fractal, isn't it? Yeah, because I've
He
not done it
is.
for ages.
But this was something that chat reminded me of when we were playing through it, because I had completely forgotten. Up until this, he was not actually in the game. The only place that you encountered this nightmare was in that fractal, and there was like no other specific connection to him. So to actually like have this in the story now, we have more context for that actual fractal with him as well, and he kind of comes back from
Is
that.
that really?
Yeah,
Oh
well,
my
because he was
God.
removed from the game when the tower went away, yeah.
Yeah, but like we fought him in the original story though.
Originally, yeah, but he wasn't in the game for 10 years.
Oh right, okay. All right. I was like, we definitely fought him. Right, okay, cool. He was awesome looking as well, and those skins you can get in the game as well for the big dagger, or the knives he's got, whatever they're swords, daggers, big daggers, swords. But like,
It's the way he's
just
so
cool.
big but moving so fast. It's very unsettling.
Also, the mechanics in this fight are great because you cannot kite him because he puts up a bubble which reflects. So if you're a rifle engineer, you're screwed. You can't do anything. Horrible.
Also, you can get a miniature of him, and he is massive in that as well.
Okay, cool. I don't know if
Yeah,
I've seen that one.
yeah.
Yeah, this
Also,
was good
speaking of
fight.
shameless self-promotion, if you're looking for like a deep dive into Scarlet Briar as she was Ciara as a Sylvari, and right up to the corruption and how it affected her, I've done like 3 videos on her,
Oh, really?
going right
Okay,
down
cool.
into the lore. Yeah.
Awesome. Make sure you
Ask me anything.
We'll comment on there. We'll put those in the comments as well for sure.
Make sure you search on YouTube the Crichton Herald.
Yes. Thank you.
Do it, exactly. Yeah, this was a good boss fight as well. Lovely.
I was going to agree with Glenn. When I got here, I was so relieved after the hair on fight. That run we just did was like really lovely.
Right.
But the hair on fire, and I got to the incident, I'm like, all right, I can relax now. I can enjoy the story. I can pay attention to what's happening. I can kind of slow down and take it at my own pace. Because in those public instances, your ball's on fire, and if you don't keep up, the density of the mobs, you're gonna die. You can't solo it. I've tried.
Yeah,
or at least I'm not skilled enough to solo it.
You need to heal yourself with the antitoxin as well, and that's affecting you. You've got the knockback, so you got everyone. Yeah.
And I did see Rook play through a bit, and I saw like the voice memos and the voice recordings, and I wanted to experience that, but I knew this public area I can't do that because I would just I would have to try to find them, but then the mobs would just kill me. So like that was also a part of it. I was like, oh, I can't like enjoy the lore part of it because I heard that the recordings were new and not in the original.
Yeah, I don't think they were. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, someone said that earlier.
I really think they dropped the ball. I think that they should have been an instanced version of this where we go through with Jury and Cass and Bram in our own time, just experiencing it slow time.
Or just leave them in the single player instances that are already there. They could also do that. Like they could have been in there. They could have been in her laboratory, which actually probably would have made more sense. But I guess there's more of like an achievement thing, like find them first because you don't know where they are, and then you go and get them. But yeah, I can agree with that. I actually forgot.
The achievement is surviving long enough to try and experience
that's
the
why
law.
it's difficult.
That's not great. Yeah.
They should give you probably more for that. I don't know what they give you. It's probably one achievement point. that dial one achievement point you need to get to like
it's like a fucking Iron Man challenge, honestly. I was just
well,
like,
there you
Jesus
go.
Christ.
That's another goal, right? That's the intention. That's what the achievements are there for, I suppose. Painful. Not something I really can be bothered to do, unfortunately. I just go and watch a video and listen to them. No, I'm just like, if I really want to listen to them, maybe I'll do that. Just because sometimes time. Okay, so we're injecting the things, but we've not actually done it. So I tell you what, actually, we're coming to a bit which kind of annoyed me. There was a story beat here where I was like, they couldn't work out, was it how to inject it or something? How to inject, like they've been injecting this heart or the seed or whatever for a while.
Yeah.
And they failed. And like you come back like a couple of weeks later and I was like, oh, I don't remember
they didn't know it
this
failed.
bit.
They were just hoping you would do something. They injected it, waited to see if it takes effect, and then come back.
No. They've been trying to like, this is what but they've been trying, like they said they're stuck. There's no expectation. I think they wanted some help. And like, you literally take 2 minutes and like literally do this thing correctly.
Because I'm pretty sure that's because there was a period of time in between the two patches, right? Originally,
yeah. But like the feeling that
there's the Tower of Nightmares that went for 2 weeks, and then that time skip is 2 weeks later. We're doing it.
Oh yeah. But like the feeling is that, you know, they've been trying to do this for so long, but you come along and after like a minute or two, you've worked out how to do it. Is what I'm saying.
I think it's because they were just injecting the same like antitoxin, and they kept getting like Saros to come and like deliver it, and like why is it not working? I think Jory might have been like trying to like refix like the actual like antitoxin. And then you're like, and then when you show up, they're like, there has to be something. I'm just too tired. And they're like, wait a minute. What if like Scarlet found a way to like knew that we were going to do this? So we have like something is up. And then you're like, oh, I see like there's like a pathway. Maybe this leads somewhere. And then you discover. That's it.
Yeah. Because they like, he finds a way, you find a way. Well, they didn't know there was a pathway. You found it. Yeah.
They'd been like troubleshooting and trying to figure it out, right? Because figuring out what exactly the antitoxin that would be needed for this like multi-hybrid poison nightmare tower, they weren't sure like what exactly this thing was and how they could neutralize it, essentially, right? So yeah, it seemed like through the time that they had spent trying to troubleshoot this and seeing how it was responding to various antitoxins, they realized around that time, like Glenn was saying, that there was something else at play, like a greater magical defense or resistance that was essentially like keeping it from responding to antitoxin. So then you splash some of the antitoxin on an overgrown passageway, and you find a passage back to her, workroom, which is where you start exploring for the first time. So I mean, cool. There's a little bit of suspension of disbelief there, but again, I like that they gave us a taste of what it is to actually be with the detective agency, to be researching,
to be an important part of that. Yeah, that makes sense.
So it was fun to have that moment and, see how hard they had both been working together. And, I always think that the moments that your character is having the biggest hero moment are often the least telling moments for characters. Like we always think, especially if you're a role player, like what's the coolest attack, the most epic attack I could ever do. When in reality, I think some of the most telling moments about characters are when they are at their lowest, their roughest, their most frazzled, tired, exhaustion, injured, stressed, anxious, fearful, and how they respond and navigate those moments oftentimes is far more rich for character development. So to see these two at wit's end working together so hard on something, exhausted, doing whatever they can to try and help others, and then to have this moment where you're all puzzling through it together, I think it's more of an opportunity to, I don't know, have a little bit more meat, a little more texture to what's going on with the story and the character beats as you kind of work it all out together.
Also, Timey isn't in the story yet. That's why we're so smart in our
That's actually very true. Yeah, that is a thing. I guess you're I'm the smart Asura in my story. Yeah, so for me, exactly. I'm an engineer, so that makes sense. I think that was like, it was a small thing, but I was still a little bit like, oh. Because I was just a bit like, oh, it only took me this amount of time to get through here. But then it was cool. I was like, I love these bits are great sometimes. I don't like it when there's too much of like going from place to place to like going through tons of different menus. But like, it was just good seeing all of these kind of bobs come together, like rezzing the Clockwork Knight and then going over to the big test tube thing, whatever it's called, and just like looking at that and looking at all the different bits and bobs and kind of putting them together and working out that you've got to kind of combine all these things to make this toxin stronger or whatever. And it was just a nice little bit. I don't know, I liked it. It was like, it reminded me a lot of being in her, because this is a consistent thing which happens, because she's got her laboratory, hasn't she, in Dry Top, which is below like, or in a back room of a house somewhere. Do you know what I'm talking about, on the north side of Dry Top, in the story instance?
Living season 2.
2, right.
Yeah.
And so there's that area, but there's another area where she's been as well. I can't remember where it is. But I love those kind of, because it's like the voice recordings. You're kind of sitting in Scarlet's shoes for a moment. You're trying to think like her and be like her and trying to be just... Is someone got a microwave going? I was like, damn, I want a hot pocket. Sorry. I just heard a little ding. It might have been on the stream. But yeah, I just love this part of the story. I thought it was great. And just, you've still got the combat elements as well. And you've got the infused skins as well from some of the dredge and whatnot. And I just love the whole culmination of this bit. This bit was very, very good.
I could also tell from your video here that you also really enjoy the investigation part.
I'm just like clicking on everything. Like,
you spent like 25 seconds trying to read the things, and then I'm just gonna break
I pulled
everything. I'm just gonna do the break everything.
I pulled everything. I wanted to see how difficult it was.
I tried to avoid the break everything, but I'm still confused when it came to like powering down the generator. I didn't see any of like the actual hints, so I just
trial and error.
Yeah, me too. I just like, okay, let's go through this combination. Nope, this one until I found it.
I talked to Jory, and she gives you a hint that's like, think about the most opposite of the forces that she brought together, and that's where you get the fire, ice, and the iron, like. But I did think that was a little obtuse.
But also, she's giving you a hint when she could just do it herself.
Right?
She already knows.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Well,
that's kind of.
You do the traditional thing where you're like, okay, let's talk about what we know, and so you're like reviewing it with her, and she's like, interesting, and then she tells you that. I mean, to me, it's just a game convention, right? It's something that we've seen a million times in a million murder mystery games. I used to play a ton of Nancy Drew games and some of the Agatha Christie murder mystery games. And you always have those moments where everybody around you, right, is like, I don't know, what could it mean? Tell me about what you found. And you like go through it. So to me, I found that charming. because it's just such a trope of the genre, I guess. But I did think that some of the maybe little logic progression, I figured it out and it was fine. But some of the little logic progression, like if I'd had I think even like a vocal cue or something that had said like, well, we need to shut down the generator to figure out blank, blank, blank or something, because I wasn't totally sure what I was actually angling to do. I like clicked on it and I went, well, do I want to overload it so that it powers up whatever thing or console, or do I want to, like, I guess I'm going to disable it because that seems to be the only thing that has some kind of little riddle puzzle that's happening right now. So I guess they want me to shut that down. So then I was trying to figure out like, well, did I miss something at one of the consoles and should I go back and read it? But I couldn't interact with them, which is when I asked Jory and she mentioned like, think about the opposites and stuff that she brought together. And I went, oh, okay, yeah, sure. So there were maybe a few little like not as tightly woven, but I actually thought this whole little section was charming. I thought the clever way that they used things like the res, picking up a rock and hurtling it at the other thing. Like, I thought that was so clever to have these little story beats, these logic beats that literally make use of different things that we have in the game that are just like mechanical things we have in the game, but that you can use in a way that creates an interaction outside of just our combat or regular exploratory stuff. So
I do know it when the game does that.
yeah.
It was cute. I liked it.
Okay, good. Yeah, I bash through it. So I normally play like, I do like 2 or 3 runs where I kind of go through it and just bash through it.
Destroy
like
things.
Yeah, and then I just kind of play around afterwards. But yeah, this one was very much a destroy all the things, because I was like, I want to see how many mobs I can pull and if it's difficult. Because I think I've done it before as well. So it's like, I remember all this kind of stuff.
Was there a reason why a lot of those mobs weren't taking damage? Because all those zeros, I'm like, oh, is something happening?
At the portal bit.
Mm-hmm.
We had to
I
pull them away
imagined
from the
that
portals, I think.
Oh, you think? I thought that it was because some of them were illusions and some of them weren't, and you had
I
to
don't
like try and discern which one was or wasn't. I actually have no idea if that's
I
correct.
don't know. I just remember pulling
That
them
was my guess.
away from the portal and they just died. That's all I remember. This line was funny. Jory did like a weird like evil laughing before you're about to inject the poison into the seed, which was fun. And then you got to go up to the thing and just like press F and inject it, and there was this little sound effect and it just kind of injected, and that was it. The whole thing just kind of died. I think you get the cinematic afterwards. I can't remember. It was very much like, oh no, that's it, because this is where the boss comes out. It was very much, the sound was good, and like just the whole feeling of, I don't know, it was just the atmosphere was good. The whole ending to this was very awesome. I don't know, I think I really missed this, to be honest, because I'm not sure if I think about the previous Living World episodes, because there were definitely been parts of the Living World story I'm like, I don't know if it was as good as this. Do you know what I mean? Like, am I right? Yeah, I think, do you know what I mean? I mean, are we...
So you were underwhelmed
by past, like by some of the other living stories in regard to like this, like if you compare to this to the later ones. Not by this. No. This one I loved. Like, I love this season. This is probably one of my favorite seasons. Like one of my favorite seasons for sure.
I was going to say, I think they've just got that much better at their storytelling with their technology, with the voice actors. And they really know the characters now. They're not feeling around in the dark trying to see where the community actually likes them and where they want to take them so that they can like service their fan base. So they know that we have a huge amount of love for these 2 characters. And I think they're just getting so much better at just environmental storytelling and storytelling on the fly. Especially when you compare it to like the personal story and the first run through of this, which was very hectic.
Well,
indeed.
This was a lot
super
better.
hectic.
This was a lot better than personal story for sure. Like there was definite progression. But I feel like there were parts of Living Story like season 2, 3, like Icebreed Saga specifically as well, where it was a lot weaker than this. And there was that feeling I had. Not when I say weak, I mean that in respect for. I don't mean it in like a mean way, but like I mean in terms of my own personal enjoyment, I suppose.
I think Icebreed Saga was too little story, too much time to spread it over. Sorry.
Okay.
No, I mean, I agree with you. I think there were a lot of factors I think that what comes to mind just specifically across the board is the ending of the Iceberg Saga, right? That's something that is relatively recent in memory. It's something that I think many players really did feel was sparse. And that's not to say that I think some of the earlier seasons, the story content might have been great, or what we discovered might have been great too, thinking about Living Season 2. But just like Crichton was saying, they have, like every other MMO, right? Honed in and refined their methods of storytelling over the years. So there's always going to be, I think, a trajectory in the tool kit way that they've learned how they're going to do that and how they kind of embody that. Iceberg Saga was a unique and strange time, and I think it constantly sticks in people's minds about a place that they felt a little shortchanged. But I honestly think a lot of that did have to do with the fact that a lot of it didn't even know, but End of Dragons was on the horizon, and those last episodes did suffer for it. And I myself on stream had a moment where I think I said something, we got through whatever content because we always live play it together, and I went, that's it? That was all? It was like a dragon response mission or something. And I was like, I mean, that's fine. There's cool stuff. Even if we don't like dragon response missions, there's still cool stuff and little moments and story and things that they did with those. But you could definitely tell it was getting more threadbare there, especially when you compared it to the start of that season. That prologue episode is still one of my favorite Living Season episodes I think we've gotten, because that map was phenomenal, and much of the content and other stuff from Iceberg Saga I still play all the time and I love. But you could definitely tell that there seemed to be some kind of crunch issue, something there, right?
I wonder if it was also because of what was going on in 2020.
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah,
probably derailing a lot of that stuff.
You're learning how to tell stories without the people in your space as well. Is a that's a different. That's definitely difficult. I think you could say as well for a lot of companies that didn't have I think it's different for different people and different companies. I think ArenaNet is very community focused, and especially within their own company as well, because they're smaller. Than these big beasts, I think there is more space probably in these bigger companies, so they're used to it maybe more. But I don't know. I think there's a lot of different things. I think also just generally Rook said, I think they didn't know where they were going at the time. They went into Iceberg Saga. They had a different had a different director. And it had a different game manager as well. So they had Mo and they had Mike Z. And then they moved. They both left. Mike went to Amazon and Mo just left and started another company. And then Josh and then they had no one in the interim. And then we found out they did have someone. We just didn't know them. And then Colin came back, and then Grouch is game director now. So there was big changes. So they've got their direction back for sure. I mean, End of Dragons, like Rook said, is a really, really good sign of that. And obviously, a lot of staff come and go. We know a lot of the story people are just going to be coming and going permanently because there's an expansion story. You bring in people for that, and then there's Living World, and then those teams who revolve for the episodes. And it's always interesting to see who's been around for these different seasons. I know some people have been around for some and who haven't been, and who are really, really impactful. But this season was ridiculously, just at the time, was just great as well, because it wasn't just the fact that Scarlet was there. It wasn't just the fact that you're introducing all these brand new characters, but a whole region got destroyed. A map got destroyed, a city got destroyed. Your main hub you just got used to hanging out in got destroyed, and I cannot wait for the next one, because you're gonna love it. It's literally up till now, it just builds. It's so progressive. It's like watching a good season of Game of Thrones. Do you know what I mean? There was that progression, it was just building, all these little stories, and then there's this culmination event. And then it's just it was so good. Invasion of LA was just wicked. And I can't wait for them I'm hoping that this is going to be something because it's going to be different. It's going to be a completely different way of doing this next episode. And I'm excited to see how they do it, because it's going to be difficult. That's for sure. Because we haven't got Lion's Arch anymore. So I'm I
think we have it was so good anymore. It is so good. Like, they have put this back in a way that I really feel like is the best they could have done. There are a few little stumbling blocks with very small things. We've talked about, the fact that Ellen Kell wasn't marked, or, stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
But, I mean, all of that to say, these episodes have felt, I have not felt at all that this season has, shortchanged us even a tiny bit. It feels like each episode has felt robust. I feel like I've had meaningful character beats and story beats. I feel like it has all been important foundational things that build our connections to other characters, as well as the overarching goal that is End of Dragons down the road. I feel like the content and instances have had a lot of stuff in them. They've had a lot of things you can even dive into with the additional collections and lore. I really think it has been a satisfying season. I have not played a single one of these episodes and been like, that's it. I've been like, oh, I can't wait for the next one. I can't wait for more. And that is a success. And that is ArenaNet at its best. That is where this company really is, and how they can tell these stories. So, I mean, as we get through the rest of season 1, yes, I can't wait for Lion's Arch and to get to experience it with all of you for the first time. And I can't wait what comes after that, because I think that they have, like you said, a strong direction. I think they have a fantastic team. I think they have really emerged from, not only a pandemic, but 10 years of developing an MMO. And we're just seeing more and more players, more and more excitement. And I think there's a lot of promise ahead. So I'm very excited.
That is literally like, we hit a record on the weekend of Steam players as well. It had just over 8,500. So it's gone up. So when it started, it was about 4 or 5K, and on the weekends it goes up to about 8 or 9. It'd be interesting to see what it's like this weekend as well, especially with the new season episode coming out. Because if people hit that mark, which what we were concerned about, right? Because we were concerned that there was a bit of missing story there. It'd be interesting to see if people come back who are newer players as well on Steam, like who maybe hit a roadblock in terms of that, and if they come back, or if they even just left in the first place, because there's so much for people to do. And you have to excuse my nostalgia at times, because a lot of this is nostalgia that I'm reliving in my head, which is probably why I really like this season in the first place, because I remember all of the stuff in game that was going on. It was very one-timey, or there was just, there's the Clockwork Marionette, which is in there as well. That was another thing. Although that's what it was. Kill the Clockwork Marionette before you do the end instance or something like that. That was one of the achievements, because that was I think this was in this episode or one of the past ones. But man, I forgot about that as well. Clockwork Marionette was in season 1. Jesus, so many good things. Sorry,
which I guess we're not going to get as part of an episode.
Yeah,
no.
Confused about that. I had somebody ask me specifically on stream the other day too. How did we meet Taimi in this season? And I said, you see her and you meet her. You can actually get her dialogue if you do Clockwork Marionette. She has a whole exchange there where you encounter her, and Taimi talks to you about how.
Oh, but that's because going back to the Clockwork Marionette, right?
But you have to actually do that, and you have to stick around and try and get her dialogue from it. I was a little surprised that they didn't more directly tie it in. It seems like because it has an achievement, maybe it's not going to be something that is an actual story beat that they do even in the next episode. But I kind of hoped that there would, at least be something. And we've gotten a report that there's a, Clockwork Marionette, so you can go do that. And then it would show you whatever the additional achievement is.
I'm trying to remember.
Maybe because they just made a big deal of bringing it back and putting it in the scrying pool, then they're not going to do it again.
They were invading. Because that was during. I thought it was
Shiver Peaks.
Yeah, they were in Shiver Peaks, the Nornland, but wasn't during the Jubilee then?
No, that was post Jubilee.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, maybe they will.
Tower, right?
Maybe they will. Was it before the tower?
Taimi shows up at the Clockwork Marionette.
Yeah.
And then she harasses people. She pretends that she's Bram's ward.
Right.
And then she's harassing people, and Logan is trying to make sure she's all right. But this is all playing out on the ground in Lion's Arch. So you're going to miss that part. It's the same way that Canix actually, he's here now. He's in the story, but you don't see him because you're missing that like structural. I will say that I think that season 1, that this is future-proofing the game. This is for new players to make sure that the game going forward has a consistency of narrative flow so that people can enjoy it. And I'm 100%, as I've said many times, I'm so happy they're doing it. I feel like at the end of Icebreath Saga, I was fairly sad about the situation. And now, after stonking expansion, the introduction of Season 1, I think that the game is in such a fantastic place going forward. I've never felt better about, like, not even content creators, I don't give a shit about that. As a player who loves this game, who has been playing this game for 3 times as long as I've been a content creator, I'm so happy that I feel comfortable and safe that we're going to have much more Guild Wars going forward.
Me too. And just to derail really quickly, because I like doing that. You, Fornax and Glenn, you're both Mesmer players, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, are you also a Mesmer player sometimes? You like Firebrand, Rook, right?
Yeah, but Firebrand's not a Mesmer.
Yeah, okay, not Mesmer. Anyway, Mesmer.
I do have a Mesmer character.
Just reading the patch notes coming up.
All right, Boots, you've got like 15 minutes until you have to go, and we're not going into the patch notes.
I actually have 4 minutes.
Well, we need to do an outro then. Okay, we're gonna do the quickest
fine.
outro ever. What do you mean fine? We have to do it.
Chronomancer and Virtuoso are getting distortion back.
They
on
are.
Their...
Cool.
We're gonna have to go over all the patch stuff maybe next week, Jeb, because there's some juicy stuff that came out of that live stream.
I will be doing my engineer video on that tonight. I will go over that and I will react to a video. So that would be something I would be doing on YouTube. But yeah, we could do a balanced patch stream next week if people want to. We've not really done one fully before. We could do.
And if anyone here is screaming outside their windows before this is posted, that probably was me reading the patch notes.
That's okay. I used to do videos and stuff all the time on this, so I'm fine with doing that. We can do that for sure. Okay. Oh wow. Okay. There's some stuff. Yeah. Everyone keeps saying big changes. Yeah. People are probably like, oh, why didn't you do that today? I was like, well, the story came out as well. What do you want me to do, man? Like, there's loads of stuff. This is the thing. This is the good thing about Guild Wars 2. There is a lot going on. That's good. That's cool. If I can't cover all the stuff that's going on, that's good. That's a good thing. That's a good problem.
I want to bring this up just as a newer player. I think what's also incredible with this game is there's so much content. They've now made it so the story is one linear thing. There's a lot of great stuff, but also that the devs actually like take in what the community says. Maybe not as much as some members might think that they should, but it's a lot more than a lot of other companies. And my thing is, when there was a big thing that happened last June, there was a lot of just unsavory things and just like disagreements all around, that they've changed things around and they're actually like being proactive about this, which I think is really cool as a player to this game, newer, that makes me want to keep on playing, because it seems that they want to keep things in our best interest as well as keeping it with their vision of how the game should be.
Agreed.
Let's go.
They do give a fuck. They do. They give lots of fucks all the time about all the things. And that's why we love them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, we're going to do these outros,
We're going to have to
Jebro?
outro because we have to go, because Booster's got to go. Right, very quick, 2 seconds. Like, tell us what you do, where you do it, and then we'll be going and we'll be raiding someone. Sorry,
That's
someone
2
go
seconds.
first. Glenn.
Hello, my name is Glenn Angel. That's Glenn Angel, but make it Spanish. I'm Dominican, non-binary. My pronouns are they, he, she. I'm a content creator on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok, all the things, but I'm taking a break because of mental health reasons. If you like Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14, you'll find me on Twitch at Glenn Angel, GLENNANGEL. If you like to see some sketch comedy, you can see that on my YouTube, the same username. But if you also want to see some memes, you can find me on Twitter and on TikTok at Hello Glenn Angel.
Awesome. Fornax next. Thank you, Glenn, for being here. I appreciate you.
I'm Fornax. I'm the Crichton Herald. If you type Crichton Herald into YouTube, you'll find me. If you type Crichton Herald into Twitch and Twitter, you'll find me there as well. I make Guild Wars 2 content primarily, although I keep threatening to expand into other games. Please check out my channel and please show this podcast lots of love. There you go.
Yeah, Rookery as well. Thank you very much, Phonics, for being on. Rookery, please.
Yes, hello, I'm Rookery. I love doing everything in the games that I play, from casual role-playing all the way to endgame and hardcore content. I mostly play Final Fantasy XIV and Guild Wars 2. They're my favorite MMOs, but I love MMOs as a genre, so we love talking about them, be it the content, the lore, the story, the world, or characters, or otherwise, or just having a good laugh about butts, which is also great. You can find me on Twitch, twitch.tv, Rookery, spelled Rookuri. You can find me over on YouTube at the same, where we have playthrough reaction content and some lore videos and other creative projects. And you can find me on Twitter at Rookery_. Again, that's ROOKURI at the end, and how it's spelled. That's
Thank
it. That's
you
it.
very much for being here again as well. Rookery, Legend, and Boots. That's things.
Boots, that's me, and World of Enders on YouTube and Twitter. And yeah, sometimes I stream also on Twitch at Boots_.
Amazing. And I am Jebro. Thank you, Boots, as well, for being here. Appreciate you as always, my friend. Wow, the music doesn't want to come on. I'm Jebro. If you have enjoyed this podcast, please make sure you chuck a follow live here on Twitch, or if you're on YouTube, chuck a like, comment, subscribe, throw it around to your friends. People are loving the episode. It's growing every week. I'm loving the amount of... It's just awesome. It's been good to just have so many people enjoying this podcast and commenting and talking about it, and it's just been great. We will see you next time on the Lightbringers podcast, which is going to be next week, which it looks like we're just going to talk about balance. So we could do that, but we could also talk maybe we'll put some other stuff in there as well, but maybe balance will just say the whole thing. It's just going to be a chill one. Today's been an awesome episode. We've talked about season 1, episode 4, the re-release, and there's one more to go. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. Take care. I'm trying to get some outro music going, but I don't know what's going on. So instead, I'm going to sing it myself.
This is beautiful. Oh my gosh, I felt like I was listening to the soundtrack.
Goodbye.
We were blessed with that.